Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Comcast Sportsnet Houston brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, it's Game 3 of this series with the Astros going for a 3-game sweep of the New York Yankees. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown, Alan Ashby, Julia Morales will join us in a moment. The Astros starting pitching has been superb, Ash.
2 games in. Not a run allowed yet by the starting pitching. They have been outstanding, and of course Feldman goes out there for that opening night, and he was simply brilliant. What he did for me was after getting the early 6-0 lead, he continued to pitch as if it was a 1-run ball game, changing speeds, moving it around throughout the night. I think Jason Castro deserves a lot of credit in that regard as well. A lot of times it can be dangerous to get that early lead and start throwing maybe too many fastballs.
6 2/3 innings and a gem, followed up last night. 5 shutout innings by Jared Cozart. He also got a win. 88 pitches and a higher percentage of strikes than normal, 65.
So much promise shown last year by Jared Cozart, especially in that debut. Overall, though, the ERA under the 2 mark from a year ago. Could he match it this year? 5 shutout innings last night, dominant work, and a curveball that appears to be much improved.
Yeah, it was dynamic last night. Now, Brett Oberholzer goes tonight, and that's quite a stern test to try to keep up with that kind of a pace.
You look at some of the numbers last year between maybe Jared Cozart and Brett Oberholzer, and there are some numbers that stand out for Oberholzer. Take a look at the whip. He kept guys off base. Big part of that was not walking people. He spots it well, relies on a changeup, but command is the big key. And Brett Oberholzer, who pitched a shutout late last season, a chance now to go out part of this rotation.
Really attacks the hitters. He did this fantastic job last year against the Seattle Mariners, September 1st, and he was in a nice groove last year.
He really was. He found the corners. He lived there, and he's going to have to do the same thing. He's, again, not overpowering, about 90 miles an hour on his fastball. Defense will always help with a guy like this.
Offensively, coming up, it's Dexter Fowler. He's done something no Astro has ever done in the first 2 games of the season. Mr. Fowler talks with Julia Morales next.
the Yankees and the Astros. Astros looking for the sweep today. Dexter Fowler at the top of the lineup, who's looking good and feeling good in that Astros uniform, becoming a fan favorite very, very quickly. Just turned 28, and he came to Houston by way of a trade with the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies acquiring right-handed pitcher Jordan Lyles and Brandon Barnes, who played a lot of center field for the Astros last year. Brandon's with the Rockies this year. When you look at these guys side by side, the number that jumps out here is the on-base percentage, 369 for Fowler, and a little more pop. He's 12 homers there, drawing 65 walks. We've seen some of that pop already here at this ballpark in the first two games of the season. Fowler started to get a groove at the end of spring training, and the season started just at the right time for this guy. His first two games as an Astro, he's 4 for 8 with some extra base hits, 2 doubles, a triple, a home run, and setting the tone for the Astros to start this season. Bo Porter really enjoys putting Fowler's name at the top of this lineup. It's something this team did not have last year, a guy with a high OBP like that, and that's what helped get the offense to where they are right now and feeling really good. He's also set the tone off the field a little bit too, carrying a lot of confidence in that clubhouse and becoming really good friends with some of these guys very quickly. He even bought everyone on the team an opening day gift, so that's a way to get on someone's good side. Fowler and the Astros will look for the sweep today. That's coming up right after this. We're going to have first pitch and lineups. Don't go anywhere.
And the finale between the Astros and Yankees this season here at Minute Maid Park, where those folks are well coordinated as they watch the Astros take the field with this starting lineup for the New York Yankees. Jacoby Ellsbury in center field, Derek Jeter the shortstop, it's Carlos Beltran the DH, Mark Teixeira the first baseman, Alfonso Soriano in left field, Francisco Cervelli in center, Brian Roberts at second, Ichiro Suzuki in right field, known simply as Ichiro, and Yankervis Solarte is the third baseman. Now, we look down and see Brett Gardner. So it's Gardner in center field. He'll be leading it off instead of Ellsbury, and that was the early lineup that had been passed out here to the media. So Gardner leads it off, and we look at more on Oberholzer.
Brett Oberholzer, 24 years of age. His strengths, clearly the changeup is a great pitch. He uses terrific arm speed with that pitch. Tough on right-handers, probably because of that changeup. Command on the edges. That's where you need to see him if he's going to have one of his games like he had late last season. Working on that breaking ball, still a little bit of work in progress. I don't know that velocity is likely to improve at any point, but about 90 miles an hour is Brett Oberholzer.
And as the Astros ride that wave of outstanding starting pitching to the first 2 wins in this series, they send a lefty with a 4-5 record from last year, a 2.76 ERA. Born in Christiana, Delaware, 24 years old, an 8th-round pick of the Braves in 08.
Well, if he can pick it up, Brownie, the way he left it off at the end of last season, you've really got something now as this rotation tries to come together.
That would be such an enthusiastic moment for the Astros fans as they have come out to try to get this 3-game sweep. And they swept 3 series last season, all of them on the road. Gardner steps up to get it started. He is 1 for 6 in this series. Yeah, they swept a series of 4 games in Anaheim after sweeping a 2-game set in Colorado, and then they had a 3-game series sweep in Seattle last September. So the Astros, the last time they have swept a home series of any length was against the Cubs in May of 2012. They've played 43 home series since their last sweep in Houston. That's strike 1 to Gardner. That's in the air and behind the plate, out of play for a 0-ball 2-strike count on Gardner as Jeter waits, and then Beltran will be due up third against Oberholzer, who's in his 2nd career start against the Yankees. He lost his first start against them last year. He is 4-5 lifetime, as you saw earlier, in the big leagues.
A different immediate look here tonight versus what Kozar did last night. The curveball is such a big part of first pitch strikes. 2 fastballs, the first one thrown right through the heart of the plate.
Well, he is aggressive in attacking that zone with his fastball, isn't he, Ash?
He is. A couple of heaters here at 91. So maybe adrenaline taking over a little bit, but it's always going to be key, whether it's 90, 91, maybe even 92, be on the edges, especially out in front of the count.
Traded to Houston in July of 2011 in the Michael Bourne deal, along with 3 other minor leaguers. And that one's outside to Gardner. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Joe Girardi going with a different look tonight. He's been leading off the first 2 games with Jacoby Ellsbury. And Gardner had been batting 7th. But Gardner is a good top of the order hitter. And the breaking pitch works for a strikeout for Oberholzer.
Well, that strikeout doesn't require a lot of defense, but they're going to play out there anyway tonight. From left to right in the outfield, Robbie Grossman, Dexter Fowler, and Alex Presley again against the right-hander. Around the infield, Matt Dominguez, Jonathan Villar make up the left side. On the right side, it's Jose Altuve off to a terrific start now, along with Mark Crosby on the dish, Jason Castro.
Now, a lot of the Yankee fans and fans, period, are standing for Derek Jeter, playing his final game in Houston. Jeter is 1 for 6 in this series. His 20th and final Major League season underway. And he was honored before the game last night. There's ball 1. He was given several gifts, a stay at the Floridian Resort, and including golf clubs and a golf lesson, well, several golf lessons, from Butch Harmon. And he said, yeah, I'll take those lessons.
Watch out, Tiger.
And special customized cowboy boots. He said he doesn't usually wear boots, but they've got the Yankee pinstripes on them and the number 2. So that's a great item, and also a Stetson hat to wear.
He wouldn't be spotted walking down Broadway that way, would he?
Fly ball to center field, maybe not. Fowler back a few steps. And that is out number 2 for Oberholzer. The Yankees have scored 3 runs in their first 2 games of the season.
Each team with just 13 hits here in this series. So it hasn't been a slugfest, although the Astros have slugged, and that's really been a part of why they've scored the runs they've scored.
Still drawing boos from Houston fans. Former Astro Carlos Beltran, 2 for 8 in this series. One of the best switch hitters on the all-time lists of homers, runs batted in, runs scored. He's done it all throughout his career, and he'll turn 37 in another 3 weeks. Ball 1 to Carlos. Another switch hitter, Mark Teixeira, is on deck. Oberholzer falls behind. It's 2 balls, no strikes.
Top of falling behind, he's missing the location, completely set up by Jason Castro.
Special commemorative bases there for this series. Infield is shifted around, playing him to pull. It's 3-0. The Yankees take a lot of pitches. They really work counts. They were 0 for 10 last night with runners in scoring position in a 3-1 loss. They out-hit the Astros 7-4 last night. It's in for a strike, and Obi has a 3-1 count now. It'll be interesting to see what he comes up with on a man who's at .233 in his career at Minute Maid Park with 12 homers, 31 runs batted in. But he exploded in that 0-4 postseason with the Astros. Some big hits in this ballpark that year. The line shot. Dominguez takes care of out number 3. It's a 1-2-3 first. Excellent starting pitching continues for Houston. Nova coming up against the Astros in just a moment. Houston Astros baseball is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Try the new Bacon Insider at Jack in the Box. It's got bacon mixed right into the patty at participating restaurants. Come inside on a rainy night in downtown Houston for the Astros lineup card. Yankees went out 1-2-3. Bo Porter presents his lineup card, and Jack in the Box gives you a look at it. Dexter Fowler in center, Robbie Grossman in left. Jason Castro, the catcher, Jose Altuve at second base. The DH is Chris Carter, followed by first baseman Mark Krause, third baseman Matt Dominguez, right fielder Alex Presley, shortstop Jonathan Villar, and the right-hander is Ivan Nova.
And that right-hander is 27 years of age, making his first start on the year. A guy the Yankees are counting on. The Yankees could have a very good five-man rotation if Nova and Michael Pineda step up and stay healthy this year.
And strike one to Dexter Fowler, who is 4 for 8 with a homer and 2 doubles to go with a triple. So all 4 hits for extra bases for Fowler. And he's done something no Astro has ever done in the first 2 games of the season, with those extra base hits and also scoring 2 runs in the first 2 games. Smacks one, and there's a hit into right center field. Picked up by Ichiro, and he has his first single of the season for Dexter Fowler. He's hit for the cycle already.
Throw that baseball over to the dugout. And that big smile tells you everything you need to know. He's having some fun here as the year gets going. And that swing looks quite powerful. Now, his numbers were not good on the road last year. They were terrific at Coors Field. And what he's doing here to start the season is probably even better than what they saw at Coors.
Stolen base numbers for Fowler, 19 last year. Robbie Grossman's the batter. There's ball one to Robbie, who is 1 for 7 with an RBI in this series. Fowler has been quite a catalyst. Grossman promoted to the number 2 spot in the lineup late in spring training. He had been batting 7th, and that was the plan But he showed his ability to get on base and advance the leadoff man. That's a shot. That's by the diving second baseman Roberts. Fowler will go first to third on the single by Grossman. First and third, nobody out, and the first inning Astros come firing out again.
Yeah, I think there's a perception that the Astros have been swinging the bats very well. What they've done is they've hit some home runs early. They've had the extra base hit working, whether it be the double or the triple, and not a whole lot of key hits with men in scoring position. But this top of the order is making a lot happen for the club. You'd love to see these two guys maintain some kind of hot throughout the year.
The Astros have scored 5 of their 9 runs in the first 2 games in the first inning. They had a 4-run first opening night for Bo Porter and got a run again in the first inning last night. Now it's Jason Castro, 1 for 7 with 1 RBI. He was the Astros all-star representative last season. Infielded double play depth. And there's strike 1 to Castro. Von Nova has had a good career. 38 wins, 20 losses, a 4.04 ERA. He's 27 years old, from the Dominican Republic. In 2011, he was 16-4 with a 3.70 ERA and won another game in the playoffs for the Yankees that year. In 2012, he was 12-8. Fouled away. Masahiro Tanaka will get his first Yankee start tomorrow night in Toronto.
By the way, even before that base hit to start things by Dexter Fowler, he was hitting a cool .500 as that leadoff man for the club. So what a difference that is from a year ago.
He has really helped to jumpstart this team and give the starting pitchers those first inning leads. Now Castro will try to get this first run home despite being down in the count 0-2. 2-3 on the road for Nova last year. That one hit him. And the bases are loaded. Castro hit by the pitch. Fowler came in, but he'll be sent back to third base.
Yeah, if you happen to be like Dexter Fowler and think, well, that ball hit the ground first, you can go ahead and advance like it's a wild pitch. Not so. If that hits the hitter on 12 bounces, it's still a hit batter.
He would be pretty slow if it hit him on 12 bounces.
Well, you would think so, but it would still hurt if it came at that velocity.
Yeah, well, that stung him a little bit around the right knee, it appeared. So bases loaded, nobody out for Jose Altuve. Altuve has 2 hits and 7 at bats. He's driven in a couple of runs. Had the big game opening night with those 2 run producing singles. He stole a base that night. He's a .192 bases loaded hitter in his major league career. Chris Carter's on deck. Von Nova has almost identical numbers home and road for his career. And there's ball 1 to Altuve. These Yankees' 3 starting pitchers who have worked in this series have combined for 311 career wins. CC Sabathia has won 205. The Astros' 3 starters in this series have won 58. In tight to Altuve, and now it's 2-0.
And the Astros so far saying, who cares?
Yeah.
We'll take today's win.
Well, they feed off numbers like that.
Shock the world?
Shock the world. That's their slogan. Their goal is to become the most improved team in the majors from last year to this year.
You know who they might battle with in that regard? Might be the Miami Marlins. They look like they could be pretty good.
They sure do. 2 balls and a strike for Altuve. Great crowd opening night. Another sellout of 42,000 plus. Crowd last night in the mid-20s came out to see game number 2 of the series. Altuve grounds to third. There's the throw to second, and then the relay to first. Safe at first, and the run scores to make it 1-0. Solarte got it to Roberts, and Altuve just beat the double play relay at first base and gets the RBI, his 3rd.
And in beating that relay, potentially sets up a big inning instead of one of those innings where you pick up a run and you say, well, the double play took us out of the frame. But that hustle going down the line makes a huge difference, potentially, at least at this point.
Yes, that can lead to a big inning. Good feed from Solarte. 1-0 Houston, and now it's Chris Carter with men on first and third and one out. Carter is 1 for 7, looking for his first run batted in. He led the club last year with 82 runs batted in. Yankees give him the right side of the infield. That's typical, and it's ball 1 in tight to him. Roberts up the middle. And the throw goes over to first. Altuve has the Astros one of their 2 stolen bases this season. And this would be a good situation to try to stay out of a double play if he can get that stolen base.
Francisco Cervelli, the catcher, is a good throwing backstop.
1-1.
And over recent years, Ivan Nova has been tough to run on statistically.
He compiled a 15-game winning streak between 2011 and 2012. That's the second longest winning streak in Yankees history. And he's really working on Altuve at first base there. Last year, Nova didn't pitch the complete season because 20 starts and 3 relief appearances and then some downtime with right triceps inflammation. This spring he made 5 starts, going 2-1 with a 3.66 ERA. The Yankees felt very good, as you mentioned, Ash, about their rotation coming out of spring training.
They really on paper look like they could be as good as anybody I can think of out there.
Carter looks at it. That's ball 2. And it's 2-1.
Talk about that Yankees rotation. It's Sabathia, Kuroda, who again last year, the first 2/3 of the season, maybe the best pitcher on the Yankees staff. Then they've got Nova tonight. Tanaka goes the opener that will be played for the Blue Jays up in Toronto. And then Michael Pineda. That 5 could be really tough.
Altuve starts and stops. Good play, but Cervelli now will fake a throw as Altuve is able to move into second. He made a decisive move. He was kind of caught pretty far off first base, and at that point really exposed and went on ahead to second.
I don't think you give stolen base right here. I think that's where the move starts. Yeah, he's frozen, so that's likely a wild pitch. Nonetheless, that aggressive base running the Astros have been preaching.
Now 3-1 the count. And that's ball 4 to load the sacks again. Carter didn't see anything he wanted to swing at, and it's up to Mark Krause with the bases loaded and 1 out. Larry Rothschild, the fine pitching coach of the Yankees, makes a first inning visit. Well, if there's one thing a pitching coach doesn't like doing, it's this: going out in the first inning, try to settle things down. But as we talked about the last couple nights, Ash, the first inning quite often can be an explosive one. The starter is still trying to get his legs underneath him, taking what he has from the bullpen to the mound, and it can be the ruination of many a starting pitcher if he doesn't limit the damage.
That leadoff man Dexter Fowler has been making such a difference. It's game 3, so we're talking about a very limited set of numbers, but you can see with this very brief part of the schedule what a difference a guy like Dexter Fowler can make in this lineup.
Was a wild pitch, getting Altuve to second base. And now Krause 0 for 3 so far, getting his second start of the season. Dominguez on deck. There's the curve, and it's a good one for Nova. It works for strike 1.
You work in batting practice constantly about when it's good to put it on the ground, when you need to drive something in the air. This is one of those air times.
Double play ball. Roberts to Jeter, and Jeter to Teixeira. And it's 1 run for the Astros on 2 hits, and they leave a couple. It's 1-0.
Brett Oberholzer back on the mound. One of the things he's been working on this offseason is that curveball. Brownie was talking about it earlier, and I spoke to him a little bit about this, and he started off by saying, when a bike chain doesn't work, it's usually because one little link is out of place, and that's how he felt his curveball was. It was working last year, but there was something not right, and he figured it out. He said he was opening up his hip too much before, allowing his arm to drag. Not the case this year. He's kind of closed in a little bit. That way he can finish. So something that you guys could look for up there. But before I toss it up to you, in-game live, something big we're doing this year on the broadcast, along with the broadcast you can watch, as well as log on to ingameastros.csnhouston.com. There you can find stats, you can follow the action, enhance Bloomberg stats, all kinds of stuff, and you can vote for player of the game. Brownie.
Thanks, Julia. 1-0 Astros. Mark Teixeira, the batter. Infield shifted around, playing him to pull. That's strike one to Big Tex. He's 2 for 7 with 1 RBI. He had very few at-bats last season because of a wrist injury requiring surgery. Still trying to get a feel for the batter's box. And right back to the pitcher. Wow.
Here's a look at our pitch-by-pitch, brought to you by Steel Dealers. And, of course, we're talking about Brett Oberholzer from a year ago. High cheese to start out Derek Norris of the Oakland A's. And then, of course, we talk about the changeup. There it is. You see the hand, the arm coming through so well on that pitch. He sells the pitch by doing so. And he's very rare in being so advanced at a young age. But off-speed pitches, the breaking balls down and in, the changeup and spotting fastballs on edges, what Brett Oberholzer is all about. And then finally blowing the fastball by after the off-speed deliveries.
Right, one, Alfonso Soriano 0 for 8 to open this season. Astros pitchers have done a marvelous job on Soriano and Derek Jeter in particular, working both of them inside effectively in this series. Ground ball, and Dominguez. It's carried out number 2. 5 straight retired by Oberholzer to open the night.
Well, if you want to get yourself off on the right foot, this is a great way to do it. Just keep plowing through, throwing strikes. The Yankees obviously not a hot team with the bat right now. Keep them that way.
They were playing well in spring training too. And now Francisco Cervelli comes up for the first time in 2014. 28-year-old backup catcher from Valencia, Venezuela. He's been with the Yankee organization since '03. Last year he had just 52 at bats. He had a broken right hand, and he served a 50-game suspension for the biogenesis investigation. Foul back, strike one. Yankees have some good catching prospects in the minor leagues. But you talked about Cervelli. He's been known as a good receiver, throws well. So he retains that job, for now at least. Back in 2010, he had 266 at-bats. Jorge Posada finally relinquishing his stranglehold on that Yankee catching job after a number of years. It's one of them.
You know, that was a case with Posada being behind the dish for the Yankees. And of course, he was a DH at times. Great hitter from both sides of the plate. Not an exceptional catcher, but the Yankees made do with it. Had great pitching nonetheless.
1 and 2. What do you think of that group they called the Core Four? Posada, and Jeter, Pettit, Rivera, together for all those years.
It's hard to, I think, even with the best of scouting and best of development, it's hard to, almost impossible to come up with a group like that, but they've done it.
5 world championships.
And of course, every team wants to come up with Derek Jeter, but the Astros weren't the only team that missed on him in that draft that year. There are some very good players taken in that first round.
You bet there were. Yeah, there have been several stories written during this series about Jeter not being drafted by the Astros in '92 with their first overall pick. They took Phil Nevin, who was one of the top college performers that year at Cal State Fullerton. And it's a strikeout for Oberholzer, his second of the night. He's retired 6 in a row with a 1-0 Astros lead.
To the bottom of the second inning. Great guests, hot topics, and no holds barred debate. Kevin Eschenfelder serves it up every single night on Sports Talk Live. That's at 5 p.m. only on Comcast Sportsnet. Tomorrow's guests, if you happen to be interested, Damon Jones, Mo Taylor, and Mike Meltzer. Pretty good list.
What time's that show tomorrow? 5
o'clock.
1-0 Astros. Matt Dominguez hit an opposite field homer last night. He's 1 for 7. And there is strike one for Ivan Nova. Presley and VR to follow in the Astros second inning. The breaking pitch is off the plate, 1-1. Well, the Astros are 4-13 in their 17 meetings with the Yankees. This is the first time they have won a series from New York. Breaking pitch off the plate again makes it 2-1. So a very fine start, but it's 2 games. The Yankees have started the season 0-3 just twice in the last 25 years. Hop back behind the dish, and it's out of play. Nonetheless, if you're going to play the first 2 games, most teams would prefer to be 2-0.
I believe it was 1986, the Astros, who went on to win by a wide margin in the National League West then, lost the first 2 games, and we were put in the coffin and sealed tight by a local reporter. And yeah, it's, you know, you can read a whole lot in that may not be there, but it is better to win.
Ground ball to short for Jeter. Jared Posart said he kind of had a sleepless night before his performance last night, which anybody would expect, but he really delivered. 5 solid innings. Bo Porter didn't want to stretch it as far as having him throw any more than the 88 pitches he threw. He said we were going to allow him up to 90 because his pitch count hadn't really gotten that high in spring training. So that was good enough. And then the bullpen did a nice job.
You would think that pitch count gets him to the 100 mark, maybe 95 next time out.
Alex Presley 0 for 3 as an Astro. It's a bullet by Jeter and a sharp single into center field for his first hit as an Astro for the native of Monroe, Louisiana. His family hasn't come over yet to watch him play after the rather sudden change of uniforms late in spring training, bringing him to Houston, but they're on the way soon.
Nice steady hands right there. Kept the hands moving back. That's what people talk about. You can move the body and you need to, but keep those hands back. Sets up a good hitting position and nicely stroked.
Presley runs well. He's aboard for Jonathan VR, who's 1 for 5. Presley draws a throw. Has 20 career stolen bases and 35 attempts, so that's not a great percentage, but he does move well on the bases. Sometimes when we see say that a player runs well, it's not necessarily that he steals bases with great proficiency, but he might go first to third well. Strike 2 VR.
I would love to say that summed me up, but
what was your time from first to third?
I'm not getting into such trivialities.
No?
Yeah, truth in advertising says I cannot say that was the truth.
But, you know, as they say, the larger players, once you got going, though,
it's like a small freight train in motion.
Swing, and Cervelli trying to locate it, and he did. It's 0-2. Of course, it takes some guys, 60 feet to get going. Not you, of course.
That's a pretty good scouting report.
This is the first time since 03 the Astros have even started as well as 2-0 in a season. How about Stephen Grant of our media relations staff? He came out with this stat, Ash. They researched all the teams that had lost 110 games or more. And there were 19 times that those teams then came out to start the next season, and only twice did one of those teams go 2-0.
Is that twice now or twice previously?
I think it's twice now. So the Astros are the second team to do it. Strikeout looking for VR. It's out number 2.
A little bit more patient Jonathan VR than we saw last year. I have a feeling patience had nothing to do with this. This is just getting locked up on a good breaking ball.
Now Dexter Fowler. He singled and came around to score on the Altuve force play grounder. So Fowler is really providing a lot of energy to this ball club with what he's done with that .556 on base percentage. Pops this one up. Solarte back to end the Houston second with no runs a hit and a man left. 1-0 Astros.
And it's time for you to tweet your photo using #AstrosFanPhoto. That's for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game telecast. It's the Astros fan photo brought to you by AT&T. Brownie.
You tweet photos, don't you?
I do. I try to. Lots this week. All kinds of cool stuff happening on the field.
Oh, yeah. What was your favorite photo that you've tweeted so far?
Ooh, I have a good one that I tweeted yesterday. It was of Nolan Ryan and Lucas Harrell in the dugout. Kind of secretly, no one knew they were there, and they were talking about something important, I'm sure.
Okay. Ryan Roberts leads it off. He's 3 for 7. Switch hitting second baseman. Just joined the Yankees as a free agent after many years with Baltimore. He hits this one in the air to left center field. Fowler moving in for it. It's 1 pitch, 1 out for Oberholzer, who's retired the first 7. Nolan was on the radio today with Matt Thomas on 790 AM here in Houston. He's going to be doing a weekly show. And Matt asked him about that errant pitch opening night.
How dare he? That was an intended knockdown pitch. Keep that hitter always concerned about what might be coming next.
Ichiro Suzuki's up for the first time in 2014. Great player from Japan, now 40 years old. .319 career major league hitter. He has a total in his professional career between Japan and Major League Baseball of 4,020 hits. 262 last season, bringing him a new low in batting average. And with his age, he now has become a backup outfielder. This is his first action. But the outfielders are very, very talented on this Yankee club, so it remains to be seen how much he'll play. Last year, even though those numbers were pretty slim pickings, he had 520 at bats. Good breaking pitch, makes it 2-1.
See how Ichiro gets that front foot lifted early and slides the body, but the front hip doesn't open. He keeps it right there. That keeps the hands back, and that's why he's been able to swing that kind of magic wand through the year, just kind of flipping the ball all over the place.
He's had a tremendous career.
It's that front hip, and it'll stay there closed until he finally puts barrel on ball.
Won his first batting title with Seattle in 01 and his second in 04. Batting averages of .350 in 01, .372 in 04. And in 01 he had 242 hits.
Really insane numbers if you look at his career. He took that curveball. Now he was frozen, but the body was still in position where he could have flipped the hands.
Yes. So those are the career numbers in Major League Ball for Ichiro. And he's won 10 Gold Gloves. Slaps that through the left side for a single and becomes the first Yankee base runner tonight after 7 straight had been set down by Oberholzer.
Well, I don't know if Ichiro was listening to us, but this is the perfect example of what he's done to compile just insane numbers. Just flipping it because he stays in position. He has just enough left to put the barrel of the bat on the ball. And it's not pretty a lot of the time, but it sure looks good in a box score.
Yeah, he's 1 for 1, and he's aboard for Solarte. Don Solarte from Venezuela got his first major league action last night. He went 0 for 2 coming off the bench. Versatile player who can play the infield and outfield. And there's ball 1, and he beat out Eduardo Nunez to make this Yankee roster. That was the source of many stories in the New York media because Nunez has been the backup for Derek Jeter for a few years now. But Nunez failed to make the big league club. And the younger Solarte, who had a phenomenal spring, replaced him. So last night was his major league debut. After hitting .429 this spring, he went 18 for 42, scored 9 times, had 2 homers and 9 runs batted in 24 games. Double play depth for Villar and Altuve. As the throw goes over, and Ichiro has been a phenomenal base stealer in his career. He's been successful 82% of the time with 472 steals.
One of those guys that obviously had the tools and the speed, but very instinctual in this game. And that's the aspect you really can't teach at all. You can't teach speed, obviously. Can't teach power, generally speaking.
Last year, he was 20 for 24 in steals at age 39. Popped up out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike to Solarte. Solarte began his career in the Minnesota organization, switch hitter. And then he moved along to the Texas Rangers. Yankees picked him up as a AAA free agent this January. He was at Round Rock last year. And for the Rangers AAA club there, he hit .276 with 12 homers, drove in 75 runs. It's a great time of year. First of all, that baseball is back for a lot of baseball star fans who have been waiting throughout the winter months. And then all these new angles, these players we've never seen before, like Solarte, and guys who are coming off big years to see if they can represent again the Max Scherzers of the world, the Trouts of the world, see if they can do what they did. Good changeup, makes it 1 and 2. And then the guys who are embarking upon, who knows, the guys will be having the best years of their career. Some of them will be unexpected.
We talked about that changeup from Oberholzer. Look at that swing out in front. The ball just hasn't gotten there yet. That's swinging at the arm speed. You see the baseball, but you also see the arm speed, and it makes you react.
Foul ball.
And again, just getting a piece. And if you decide that you're going to wait for a changeup, a 90-mile-an-hour fastball will slip right on by very easily. And that's what you wind up doing. You're just reaching and feeling.
He's almost stepping out of the batter's box with his front foot. Has about half of his foot out of the box when he strides.
I've never seen anybody called for breaking that alleged rule.
Well, that's true. Line shot past the diving Villar, left center field. Ichiro is turning second, heading for third. Fowler throws it into second. Solarte stopping at first. And it's first and third, one out for the Yankees. First major league hit for Solarte.
Yeah, maybe getting a glimpse of a guy that can swing the bat. Might hear more about this guy.
They want the baseball for him right now.
Yeah, he gets a pitch within that speed that he's looking for. That's the fastball, and he didn't change anything after seeing the changeups. He just stayed on that same speed and finally got the one he was looking for.
Now first and third, Mick Kelleher, the first base coach, talks to Solarte, with Gardner coming up for the second time. He struck out earlier. Gardner signed a 4-year contract extension in February this year. A little battle of the cheering fans down here in the stands right now. Some fans were yelling, "Let's go Yankees." Others then chimed in with, "Let's go Astros." Sometimes the home team fans get upset when there are a number of fans for the visiting club, and they don't want to let them have the stage all by themselves.
I think that's a stage that has to be earned, and they haven't proven themselves yet.
Bouncer and out two. They can't stop it from going through. That'll tie the game at 1. Solarte heads for third, and it's an RBI single for Gardner. He took advantage of that hold at first base with Krause holding Solarte, and now the Yankees, with Gardner getting his first RBI, have tied it at 1.
Not about how hard you hit it a lot of the times, just what kind of hole you can find. 2 little bleeder ground balls that get through in the inning, but they count just the same. You can't tell the difference between those and the line drives in the box score.
And Derek Jeter will bat. Gardner aboard. Gardner gives Jeter that hole in the right side. He frequently hits the ball in that area of the field. Derek got a hit opening night. Also hit by a pitch. Hit a 2-0 pitch to center field his first time up in this game. Jeter is 2 hits away from tying Paul Molitor for 8th on the all-time hit list. Molitor had 3,319. Gardner attracts the throw. At this point, George Girardi might want to see his club be aggressive. Gardner had 24 steals and 32 attempts last year. Yankees have not had much going in this series. Jeter looks at it. It's strike 1. Jeter made his 17th opening day roster. Started shortstop for the Yankees this year. That's the most opening day starts by a Yankee at any single position in their franchise history. This is his 20th season. That's a club record for the Yankees. It's 1-1. He hit just 137 in spring training, going 7 for 51. You know what his personal winning percentage is for his career in terms of games won when he's been on the club? .598.
So he's very close to that 6 out of 10 pace, and you don't see that very often for teams in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. Especially over a 19-year span.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
Well, he's been remarkable. And yeah, the years take their toll, but you go back just a couple of years ago, Derek Jeter was putting up numbers like he was a kid again.
And then after 2013, he signed a 1-year deal, November 1st, and then he announced on February 12th of 2014, he would retire following this season. But he said in the clippings of his remarks that went in the newspapers last night, he was kind of taken aback when he came to the plate after they had honored him on the field prior to the game. Saw the Astros players outside of the dugout honoring him. But he really appreciated the gesture.
Yeah, it's all nice, but I think it's a bit distracting, and it could be a distracting year for Derek.
Yeah, tight ball, too. 2-2. Well, there will be those ceremonies in every city the final time in for Jeter. And Andy Pettitte said in one of the stories, Jeter is not the sort of player who likes to be distracted before a ball game. But when you announce that you're retiring, that's what you're inviting. Foul ball. Still 2-2. It's a nice way to do it because it lets everybody know exactly what the intentions are. And it certainly was terrific to see Mariano Rivera honored throughout the Major League Baseball, and here especially in the final stop of his career.
What I think was a lot easier for Rivera was that as he would go out for the pregame ceremonies and be honored and all the stuff that would go with it, he could then take the next 8 innings off, kind of get himself geared and be ready for that ninth.
Jeter's got to be ready to hit in the first inning. That's right. It's a whole different mindset. Gardner has the Astros' attention there at first base. That's high, and it's ball 3. Now a full count. And it wouldn't be at all surprising to see the runner from first base, Gardner, take off on this next pitch. 42 pitches for Oberholzer, 28 of them strikes.
The inning all gets started by that little flip shot to the left side hit by Ichiro.
The Yankees have had 21 consecutive winning seasons. It's the second longest streak of all time in the majors. Second only to the Yankees' run of 39 in a row from 26 through 64.
Any coincidence that Derek Jeter has been there for the well, this is his 20th year in a Yankee uniform?
I bet there is. 3-2 pitch, runner not going, foul ball.
Jeter, I think, knew he was beat on that pitch and just kind of laid the bat down, maybe trying to make contact. Yeah, let's just see if I can foul something off. I don't know how the good ones seem to be able to do that.
He waits very late. The Astros have put the clamps on him, though, in his career. Just 43 at-bats. He's a .209 hitter against Houston pitching. 3 homers, 7 runs batted in for Derek against the Astros. That is ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Jeter draws the walk to bring up Carlos Beltran now with 1 out. First walk for Oberholzer.
If you're struggling with your command, this Yankees squad has a way of just shortening your night.
Strom went out last night in the 5th inning when Jared Cozart was in his final frame, and he got out of trouble after that. He'd given up a couple of singles with 1 out.
You know, part of the message out there has to be, if you want to look up at the scoreboard, do it. It's still a 1-1 ball game. Big pitch right here can keep it that way.
Obi had thrown 22 pitches in the 1st and 2nd innings combined. He's thrown 22 right now in the 3rd. And has become the first Houston starting pitcher in 2014 to allow a run. Teixeira's on deck as the number 3 hitter. Beltran with a 305 career bases loaded average and 10 grand slams steps up. That's strike one. Even though you might have noticed earlier that Beltran only has a 233 career average here at Minute Maid Park. His overall career average against Astros pitching is 283. Good speed on the base pass. Swing there makes it 0-2 to Beltran, who lined to third earlier with Dominguez going up to snag it.
Yeah, generally, it's not regarded as a good thing to look back and say what if, but I wonder if Beltran ever asked himself what it might have been like if he had decided to stay in an Astros uniform and finish out his career here, and what might it have been like for the club.
That's a great place to play. He had a chance to sample that briefly. He's only here about half a season. Line shot goes foul. And what a difference in the pressure, I think, that a player might feel if he's susceptible to things like that, Ash, between playing in Houston and playing in a Yankee uniform.
All about perspective. You mentioned the half a season for Beltran with the Astros. Another guy that did pretty well in a half a season, Randy Johnson. What an impact both of those guys had in that limited amount of time.
Yeah, that's a good point. They were here just for a few months, but they did leave something behind that's remembered. That's high and to left center field. That'll get a run home from third. Everybody's tagging. Here's the catch by Fowler. He throws into second. 2-1 Yankees on the sacrifice fly by Beltran. Solarte scoring. Gardner taking third. Jeter stayed at first. First RBI for Beltran.
Another breaking ball that results in that sac fly, but this guy has seen a few of these through the years. You see he hit that off the end of the bat just a bit, still drives it deep in the yard. And now for Oberholzer, get out without any further damage, make it a one-run game.
Teixeira grounded back to him. The ball was hit sharply. This is the first time the Yankees have had the lead in this series. Ball one, Mark Teixeira. Played collegiately at Georgia Tech.
This is a lineup for the Yankees that's still loaded with plenty of thump. I guess the question is the thump still genuinely there with the age that comes along with it?
Right.
You're looking at Jeter, Beltran, Teixeira, Soriano, back to back to back, and so on. And you've got Ichiro on the club, but they are veterans.
Powering pop-up. Dominguez calling. And that does it for the Yankee third with 2 runs scoring on 3 hits. 2 men stranded. 2-1 Yanks.
will receive an Astros gym bag presented by Houston Methodist on April 5th. That's when the Astros take on the Los Angeles Angels. Visit Astros.com for details and be sure to come early to get that gym bag, guys.
We'll all get ours, and then we'll take them on the road to Toronto and Arlington, Texas. And Jeff Blum will have to take one to Blummer when he arrives in Toronto, Nash.
That'd be a nice gesture. We could each take one. Oh, Jeff will be so pleased.
Robbie Grossman leads it off in the home third, 2-1 Yankees. Robbie single to right center in the first inning. That got Dexter Fowler to third base from first, and Fowler then scored on an Altuve force play. 3 hits for each club, no errors in this ball game, with the Yankees up 2-1 for Nova. Showing bunt, Robbie takes, and there's strike one. What's the smallest travel bag you can remember taking?
I remember a teammate who didn't. He took a shaving kit, and he had items of such things like underwear and socks in his pockets of his coat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hopefully it was a large coat.
It was ill-fitting, that much I can assure you.
Oh, it's fun to observe people's travel habits.
Another teammate who kept a little bit of food in the pockets.
Coming over, Jeter. Jeter with a quick release. Gets Grossman.
Oh, that was slick.
That was good.
Make that play on a routine basis, and he might want to reconsider. Jeter's been known through the years for throwing on the run. He'll come and get it, but this play forced him to do so. But you can see that he still can get rid of it very quickly.
Now the infielders are shifted around, but Jeter's going to stay where he is. And they put Solarte out, as you see, to Jeter's left. And then Roberts out in right field for Castro. Castro was hit by a pitch back in the first inning, a ball that bounced on an 0-2 count. And this one hits him. What is going on here?
Castro thinking, if you're going to hit me again, at least bounce it again.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
He hit twice, got him in the same spot just about, didn't it?
Yeah, that does not look like a happy Jason Castro right there. Here, take this. I don't need it anymore. This slider starts way too far inside, and you see the reaction to back up when you see a ball coming inside. That's why they say the really dangerous pitch is the fastball back behind the head, because you'll react to back up and you'll go right into it. Yeah, Jason's hurting a bit.
Head athletic trainer Nathan Lucero out.
Don't need an off day from my catching side of things. The hitting side's killing me.
Boy, it's a weird happenstance to be drilled twice.
It's all about where you get hit right there. And sometimes you'll get drilled by a fastball and kind of shake it off easily, but sometimes a big breaking ball like this can catch you just in the right spot, maybe on the ankle bone, something on the foot, and it'll mess up your life for a good period of time too.
Jack Brock, the first base coach, talks with Castro. Teixeira will hold him as Jose Altuve bats. Altuve got the Astros RBI when he bounced into a force play in the first inning, and the bases were loaded with nobody out when he came up. That's a line drive hit to the left side. Castro trotting to second base on an Altuve single. Third hit of the year for Jose Altuve.
Nice way for the Astros to quickly bounce back and say, hey, we're not done with this thing yet. This bat is really looking good at the moment, and I can tell you there are some around this club that feel like Jose Altuve is maybe the guy to have a big year this year.
He is really determined to do exactly that. Now 2 men on, 1 out for Chris Carter. But then how many guys have said on April 3rd, well, I think I'd like to have an average year this year.
Coming to spring training, the stories. Yeah, I've had too many good years.
Yeah, I'm just not really feeling it.
I'm ready to fall back on my hefty laurels.
Maybe I'd like to hit about 167 this season. Roll to second base. Jeter to second. And then there's the relay by Roberts to make it a double play. 6-4-3 to end the third. No runs a hit and a man left. 2-1 Yankees.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit Astros.com for your details.
Fans have watched the Yankees grab the lead with 2 in the 3rd inning. Now Brett Oberholzer comes out for the 4th, trying to have a quick frame and reestablish himself. He's thrown 50 pitches in the first 3. And the Astros had something going, but then Carter hit into that 6-4-3 double play. Nova has made an interesting turnaround himself in this game. He had the bases loaded, nobody out in the first. Got out of that inning with only 1 run allowed, and now the Yankees have handed him the lead with Soriano, Cervelli, and Roberts coming up in the 4th. There's the breakdown on pitches. So with 28 in the 3rd inning, Oberholzer really had to work hard.
And it was the bottom of the order starting that frame, so you just never know where it might erupt.
Soriano grounded to 3rd his first time up. 3 infielders between 2nd and 3rd. That's in tight, ball 1. The Toronto Blue Jays are trying to stop a streak of 20 consecutive winless road series at Tampa Bay. They haven't won a series at Tampa Bay since April of 2007. They're trailing tonight 4-2 in the 6th inning.
David Price had his way in the opener, but turned around and went the other direction the next 2.
2 balls, no strikes. The Cubs and Pirates played 16 innings last night with Pittsburgh winning. Chicago won today 3-2.
5 hours and 55 minutes last night.
Oh,
Jim DeShays, enjoy yourself.
He couldn't have gotten any sleep at all. 2 balls and a strike. Mike Alt hit his first home run of the season today for the Cubs. Well, had it not been for that lengthy game, I was going to call JD and ask him about the ruling in that play at second base.
I sent him a text this morning. It just said 5:55, and he said pure delight.
Oh,
yeah, it wasn't exactly what he said, but something like that.
3 balls and a strike. Are there limitations on texting on what words you can use?
Not for JD.
Okay. Late swing there, and it's a foul tip for strike 2, 3-2. Well, there was a call in that game. It was reviewed because at first the umpires ruled it was a neighborhood play at second. The throw from the first baseman to the shortstop on a force play there, pulled him off the bag to the outfield side, and they reviewed it and they decided no, the throw pulled him off the bag, so the runner was safe. It was not considered to be a neighborhood play. Line drive caught by Dominguez. 1 out. A reminder now, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lines.
Yeah, it really takes interpretation on the part of the umpires on that particular play.
By the way, Wandy Rodriguez started today for the Buccos. He went 6 innings, allowing 3 runs, but he took the loss as the Cubs won it. Francisco Cervelli struck out in the 2nd inning. And here's a question for you about the probabilities of scoring a run in an inning. 2 outs, nobody on base, and 0-2 count on the hitter.
Yeah, that doesn't set up for a big inning.
But that's how the White Sox went on to win after that situation. Last night in the 11th inning, the batter bunted for a hit on an 0-2 count. Was wild pitch to second, wild pitch to, or was balked to second rather, wild pitch to third, and wild pitched home with a game-winning run.
Very rare under those circumstances that you can put it on the board.
You know, Mitch Williams of the MLB Network predicted
that
would happen.
Yeah, the walk-off wild pitch was predicted.
That's got to be a first for a broadcaster, doesn't it? That's crazy.
Sometimes I think it's wishful thinking. It's deep into the night.
Well, that's exactly what it was. Mitch probably had to catch a plane. 2 balls and a strike. Tonight is the night that the Astros minor league clubs are opening play. Very exciting time throughout the system as they embark upon the journey. Mike Fultonevich is getting the start tonight in Round Rock for Oklahoma City.
All eyes, or at least glancing in that direction, they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked good in spring training, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah, and I think he, I don't know that he woke anybody up, because I think everybody's keenly aware of his arm, but he's got some people maybe clamoring for him.
Ground ball goes foul, and the Astros once again, as they did last year, are using what they are calling piggyback starts in the minor leagues to start the season. So 2 starting pitchers will share a game. So Fultonevich and lefty Rudy Owens will share that game tonight for the Red Hawks. And of course they've got a glittering star-studded lineup. George Springer, John Singleton, several other really important guys, Max Stassi. We could go on and on. That's a strikeout for out number 2.
Yeah, on paper it would figure that Red Hawks club would do quite well. Question is how long.
Well, and it's hard to answer that because there will be some minor league call-ups along the way by the big league club.
And that's the implication.
Brian Roberts hit the ball to the center fielder Fowler in the 3rd inning. He went out on 1 pitch. Oberholzer at 62 pitches now. He's thrown 12 in this inning. If he has a 1-2-3 frame, that could really help him get back on track. There's strike 1.
You saw what Joey Bats did for the Blue Jays last night. A couple of bombs, and when he gets it going, you do not want to face Toronto.
That's a show he puts on. You saw that show.
Oh my, I saw 54 home runs in 1 year and followed up by 45. And the guy can play some kind of right field. Makes you think about some of the greats of the past.
So what was your home run call for Joey Bats that you would use on the Toronto radio network?
Well, if I had my way, I would just put the microphone down there really close and let you hear bat on ball. And enough said.
Okay.
That would be the call. Enough said.
Didn't you have a special call like bats one out of the park or anything cool like that?
I steered away from that sort of thing.
Okay.
But it's wide open for your interpretation as we go up to Toronto for 3 games.
Okay, we might have to play around with that. What do you think John Sterling's home run calls are going to be for the Yankee newcomers like Brian Roberts?
I think A-bomb has been used.
Presley back. And that's out number 3. It's a 1-2-3-4 for Obi and a 2-1 lead for the Yanks.
In-game live. Log on to ingameastros.csnhouston.com and decide the player of the game. I've been checking it out so far, and what I saw was Dexter Fowler leading the pack here. Robbie Grossman even getting some votes. Jose Altuve as well. See, there you see right there. Dexter Fowler becoming a fan favorite already, and well-deserved after his performance the past 3 nights. Again, ingameastros.csnhouston.com. Get on and vote, and the winner will be announced on Astros Postgame Live, guys.
Sounds good, Julia. Thank you. 2-1. The Yankees lead it. Ivan Nova on the mound. Mark Krause, who bounced into a double play, is the batter. Dominguez and Presley to follow in the Astros' 4th inning. Fowler's one of those popular guys, though. Julia told us that he's already become popular with his teammates in just the short time he's been here. He lavished them with gifts, and he has a smile on his face.
And he's been providing a lot of offense.
That'll make a guy popular.
Yeah, it will.
0-2 the count.
Not just with the teammates. I think the fans are certainly on that wagon right now, and should be.
Krause takes it for a ball. It's 1-2. Well, he's the first player, Fowler is, since Barry Bonds in 03 to start his season, and in the first 2 games get 4 extra base hits and score 2 runs.
How things go for Bonds that year?
They went pretty well in 03.
Yeah.
2-2. Hey, isn't today the anniversary of the Hank Aaron 715th homer? It was either today or yesterday. It might have been yesterday.
Great call by Milo Hamilton.
40 years ago, Ash. 40 years. Can you believe how quickly those 4 decades?
Al Downing on the hill.
Yeah.
Who caught the ball in the bullpen?
Tom House.
That's right.
And he ran it into home plate.
No, I think he brought the football in.
Is that what he did?
Yeah.
Okay. 3-2 pitch coming to Krause. And that's ball 4. Krause laid off that off-speed pitch. The second walk for Nova, who's also hit 2 batters, and Dominguez will follow. Never finished the Nolan Ryan story, though, of listening to him on the radio today, and Matt Thomas asked him about that first pitch he threw, and Craig Biggio couldn't catch it. And so Matt said, well, did you blame your catcher on it? And he said, no, I didn't. In fact, he told me before we went out to the field that he would be able to catch anything. Don't worry about it. But he couldn't catch that one. Dominguez grounded out earlier. Puts this one in the air to left center field. Gardner's there for the catch. Here's the tag, but Krause will watch that throw come into second and then backpedal to first. And Nolan said, well, what really happened, and he was, of course, joking, was that I got ready to throw that pitch, and I saw a guy in the crowd, and it distracted me because it was an old sports writer who used to give me a rough time, and I thought I'd even the score.
My disappointment was in pitch. With all that range that he had, I thought he'd handle anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. All smiles. I'm going to stick with the knockdown pitch. I think he saw somebody in the box. As soon as he got to the hill, it was just reliving the past, and somebody was digging in.
Alex Presley got his first hit as an Astro in the second inning. Sharp single up the middle. That's ball one to him. You know, there was a story about him today, and having been a National League player, and you know, it was an interesting perspective because it's a different use of bench players, as you well know, in the National League. So the fact that he and Jesus Guzman both had similar remarks about that. Well, you know, with National League clubs, we were used to getting a lot of pinch hit at bats, and we'd get into a lot of games, but it's not that way in the American League. Slow bouncer, Jeter steps on the bag, throws to first for a 6-3 double play, and after 4, it's 2-1 Yankees.
Side of the game brought to you by Comcast Business. And like most pitchers, and there's really nothing unusual in the sense that lefties don't like to throw their changeup to left-hand hitters and vice versa with the righties to righties. But you can see Brett Oberholzer will throw it, just not nearly as much. 9% to left-hand hitters, 22% to the right-hand hitters. It is probably the key pitch for Brett Oberholzer, and I guess from an old catcher's perspective, I'd love to see him balance that out a bit and use it more often on the lefties. And if he does, I think having some success might help him to use it more. And to track how Brett and the rest of the team does tonight, log on to ingame-astros.csnhouston.com.
Strike one to Ichiro, who started the Yankees' go-ahead rally with a hit through the left side back in the third inning with one out. Came around to score the run to tie it. And swings at that curveball, 0-2. Ichiro, as we noted earlier, one of the older players in Major League Baseball. There are 12 active or disabled players over age 39 in the majors this year. 3 of them are Yankees. Ichiro's 40, Derek Jeter, and Hiroki Kuroda. Flick foul. Boy, has he been a marvelous entertainer down through the years. Just a very interesting guy to watch.
Such a small guy and that great throwing arm. He still has a version of it, but at one time he could really let it fly from right field.
He does a lot of stretching before each game.
That's a good looking pitch, and I think Jason Castro thought it was as well. A lot of times these big name hitters will get away with pitches. What do you think there? to me, and Ichiro goes through the body stuff there, I think that helps sell it with the umpire. That's pretty quality pitch.
And he chops that one foul. I was going to ask you, though, as we saw Castro catch that previous pitch, does it help you as a catcher to buy the call if you reach out more in front of you and snatch that ball? Does it help it to look higher for the umpire if you do that?
I guess you could make that argument, and I've heard guys, pitchers, who would say, I want you to catch it out in front. Others who would say, I want you to catch it back in. I'll tell you a guy that I thought looked as good as anybody I've ever watched.
Krause with the play. So 1 out.
Charlie O'Brien. He was a smooth receiving catcher.
Yeah.
And what Charlie did was the glove would stay as close to his body as could be. And as he caught it deep, if it was outside of his body, he could bring it right back on the body. And he never reached out. It never gave the appearance he was reaching for a pitch. And, of course, he had a pretty good pitching staff in Atlanta at the time that would put it right on the money. But, boy, he could frame it. He would make it look like it was within the body all the time. So, kind of my perspective is deep on the body might be the prettiest way to do the catching job, and therefore maybe the most effective.
Okay. Yangervis Solarte, the batter. He singled and scored. Julia had some material, too, on Obi that we want to get to.
Well, Brownie, you guys were talking about the changeup and how he doesn't throw the changeup to lefties very often. I went to him with this information, trying to see why maybe that is, and he was taken aback. He was almost surprised at that number. Thought he threw more than what the numbers say. And what was funny was Dallas Keuchel right next to him, listening to our conversation, said, "Hey, are you sure you're not talking about me? I'm the one that doesn't throw changeups to lefties," and it just got him to talking. But he does. He thinks he throws a little bit more than maybe what we think. I'm not sure if that's just something that's in his head, but he went back to a pitch, a changeup that he threw to Big Poppy last year. He remembered very well, struck him out last year. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was a big moment for him last year, so that's something that popped up in his head when we were talking about it.
Well, I don't remember that, but I remember Big Poppy's selfie with the president.
Ooh. Yeah, and he's come back with 3 hits tonight, so and a home run last night. So apparently selfies with the president are good for the hitting stroke.
That's in the dirt, but maybe we have some fuzzy math on that. What do you think, Julia?
I don't know. He thought maybe sometimes people would mistake it for a curveball.
Okay.
He thought that might be something.
Well, that's a point.
I think there's something to that, too. I think it's subjective on somebody's part putting down the numbers. I think a lot of times the change can look like a fastball.
Yeah, that's right.
Brett's pretty wide open about throwing it to left-handers.
Fowler comes in left center field. Robbie Grossman cannot make the catch. Here's Fowler throwing to second. Altuve with a tag, safe at second base. Great effort by Grossman, but he could not retain possession of the ball after leaving his feet, so Solarte will wind up with a hustling double.
Robbie appeared to get to this ball, and I'll bet you he's kicking himself. I have a feeling, looking up in the lights, could that have been a factor? Hard to say. Let's see, does he get to the ball? Looks like he got gloved to it, and I imagine Robbie's thinking, man, I need to make that play.
Yeah.
Not easy by any stretch.
Solarte turns it on, gets into second base. First extra base hit of the night for the Yankees. The Yankees had 7 hits last night, only 1 for extra bases, a double. And they had 1 double of their 6 hits in the opener. So just 3 doubles for extra base hits in this series. Gardner, the batter, he's 1 for 2, an RBI single. Yeah, it seemed like the degree of difficulty on that play by Robbie was pretty high, but major league outfielders typically will tell you, I expect to make that catch if I get my glove on.
Well, here's the thing. For a pitcher, if you get a ground ball that isn't just dead in a hole, he wants an out. And if you get a fly ball this high somewhere in the outfield, you want an out. But again, not an easy play at all.
In the dirt.
Robbie was looking up in the lights after the play was over, and I don't know if that could have been a factor as you make that dive, if just at the last instant you lose the ball in the lights. But he looked to me like he got there.
Once he lowered his eye angle, those lights might have been a problem for him.
Sounds like a flimsy excuse at times, but those lights can really be a challenge.
That's our job, to come up with excuses up here.
Flimsy is my middle name.
1-2. Oklahoma City and Round Rock are tied 5-5 after 4. It looks as if Mike Foltynewicz will be the second pitcher to work in that game. Rudy Owens, the starter. Owens giving up 3 hits and 5 earned runs in 4 innings. So they'll share those starts for a while with the Astros minor league clubs. Brady Rogers is starting tonight for Corpus Christi. Vincent Velasquez is starting for Lancaster. Strike 3 call. Brad Peacock warming up for the Astros, and that is the 4th strikeout for Obi.
Brett Gardner apparently is going to take and take until he sees something he likes. Tough pitch, well spotted down and away, and that's the kind of pitch you want to make with 2 strikes. For that matter, go ahead and make it all the time.
Derek Jeter and that extra applause. The fans knowing it's his final game in Houston. Jeter has flied to center and walked. Jeter's a 13-time All-Star. So it was Phil Nevin, the first pick in the '92 draft by Houston. Paul Shuey, the second pick, went to Cleveland. Montreal took B.J. Wallace with the 3rd choice. Jeffrey Hammonds went to Baltimore. Chad Mottola went to Cincinnati, and then Jeter to the Yankees. And the Yankee scout in Michigan there said if they had not drafted Jeter, they would have drafted pitcher Jim Pitsley. It was taken by Kansas City later in the 1st round and appeared for a few games in the big leagues. Line shot into right field, a hit. Here comes Solarte toward the plate, and the throw to the plate cut off by Krause. And they would have had him, but the run scored, and Jeter picked up the RBI, but they would have had him at home plate on that throw. So Jeter picks up his first RBI of the year, gets his 2nd hit, and the Yankees lead 3-1. Cut off by Krause from Alex Presley.
Yeah, this throw appears to be exactly what you look for. Hit the cutoff man, but allow 1 hop to take it to the plate. 1 hop in there to Jason Castro meant as sure a thing of an out as you could predict on a throw from the outfield. Looked like a very good one.
Well, the catcher normally would tell the first baseman in that instance to cut off the throw, right?
What you do, well, what most teams do, and what I found teams doing when I played was Catcher says nothing if you want it to come through, and then he says cut and relay, whatever the case may be, but nothing means let that thing through. But there's that temptation if you're Mark Krause and you see Jeter going and you've got him dead to rights, let's go ahead and get the out.
Jonathan Villar struck out looking in the second. 3-1 Yankees. It's a liner left field. It's slicing and fair ball into the corner. Villar now will make it easily into second base. There was a question about whether that would stay fair, but he hit it hard, and that's his first double of the year. Good start for the Astros here in the fifth.
This is what Jonathan Villar did last year. As a left-hand hitter, he would sting it to left field quite often. As a right-hand hitter, he'd sting it to left field. Left field tends to be where Villar drives the baseball, but I think the fact that when he's left-handed, he has that ability is a huge plus.
And now the Astros get their first extra base hit of the night. So Girardi coming out to the third base umpire. Maybe a fair or foul call in dispute here by Girardi. The call was made by Phil Cuzzi. But Joe is not going to initiate a review here.
I think we better get used to this kind of a ploy throughout the course of the season and maybe for years to come. This is a little bit of the buying time deal where you get word from your own bench and find out, is it worth challenging?
Disappeared from the bottom of our screen there. We didn't get a good look at it from that angle. Good ball one to Fowler, but there are 12 camera angles in each major league ballpark for the staff in New York to review. They were not called upon to make that decision.
Boy, reviews have been in vogue here early on in the season, all around baseball.
Yeah.
As have been walk-off wins.
Boy, you know it.
Yesterday there were, not certain of the number, I want to say there were 3.
Well, Brad Ausmus in Detroit got another one.
Yes.
They've had 2 in 2 games. First time since 1901 for the Tigers out of the chute. And the Pirates had one in 16 innings. Ground ball hit to the right side by Fowler. And here's Villar coming to the plate. Ichiro's throw up the line. The Astros score to make it 3-2. Villar's speed really helps on the Fowler RBI single. He has 2 more hits. Like taking aspirin 2 a day for Fowler in each of the first 3 games.
That will keep the headaches away, no doubt about it. And Ichiro says, I can still throw. This is a good, strong throw to the plate. It's been around a while, but keeping that arm loose. Look at this thing. A little bit offline, but you can see the velocity is still there. That's a good job by Villar digging all the way in. He gets that go sign from Pat Listash.
What an amazing 3-game series for Fowler. Now Grossman 1 for 2. Fowler draws a throw, and a 1-run game again now. Fowler continues to sting the ball.
Well, there should be good feelings for Dexter Fowler about hitting in this ballpark.
He is now 6 for 9 to open this season. No, 6 for 11 rather to open the season. There's some fuzzy math for you, and it's ball 1.
You got a couple of doubles, a triple, a dinger, a couple of measly singles. A lot of people think this is a guy to watch for a big breakout year this season.
Well, Robbie had a strong spring. Seems to be very confident based on what he did after coming back from AAA Oklahoma City last year. He just came back a much better hitter. And also, unlike the situation with the right fielders and the first baseman, he's not in a platoon. He's playing every day.
I think he earned it. Did a heck of a job.
That's off the plate, and it's 2-0 to Robbie Grossman.
From this left side of the plate, he had a tendency early last year to, I think, number one, maybe take some pitches late in counts that were just too good to take. But at the same time, a little bit of a loopy swing that produced pop flies and fly balls. Turned it around and started hitting the ball square on the barrel late in the season. And what a difference.
Strike makes it 2-1 to Grossman.
Robbie Grossman a year ago. The walks were up early on. But, you know, walks are great if they combine with power and the batting average and everything goes up with it. It wasn't the case for Robbie. You can see later in the year on the right-hand side, batting average way up. It brought the OPS up, and he was driving the baseball, hitting home runs. He's got a square in Baltimore already.
Now, the stat mavens would say, well, look at that batting average on balls in play on the bottom line there. 275 in April and May, and then way up over 400 after that. Quite a difference there. And what they do is say, well, the average is such and such on balls in play. What do you think it is, about 290 and 300 batting average?
I think for a lot of guys, it's well above 300. Simply because of the strikeouts in today's world. A lot of strikeouts for fellas.
So then perhaps it would be very difficult for him to sustain what he did on that stat when he came back from the minors. We'll see. That would be a very, very strong pace.
I'll just say this. If he does sustain that or come anywhere close to doing so, he's going to be an everyday left fielder.
And you know, the great thing about it is, here with Bo Porter, there is an opportunity for a young guy to do that and to build a future for himself. That's 3-2 now. Now Fowler on 3-2 might be setting sail. Nova has struck out one in this game. VR. .54 pitches for Ivan Nova. He's holding the ball. Fowler goes. It's ball 4. So perhaps the threat of a steal can sometimes affect a pitcher in his delivery. Sometimes he can try to be quick, and he's too quick and can't throw a strike. But whatever the reason, that's his third walk of the night.
And I don't think Robbie Grossman draws walks because pitchers are concerned about the long ball. Even though he showed last year he can hit it. He's a smallish target, and he's just very patient. Once he gets to 2 strikes, though, I think he does have to expand the zone a bit.
Brady Rogers tonight in his start for Corpus Christi went 5 innings, gave up 1 run. And Colton Kane in that piggyback start arrangement is now in the game. Corpus leading at Tulsa 2-1 in the home 7th inning. Jason Castro, first Astro to be hit twice in a game since Brad Ausmus in April of 07. Boy, Brad did it more recently than Craig Biggio, huh? That's interesting.
Is that why Brad's managing these days?
That might be. He's managing very well, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He knows how to get the walk-off win.
And he won a challenge. I think he's won a couple of
challenges,
yeah.
I believe, yesterday's game.
It's a very nice start for Brad. Castro takes, and it's 1-1. Wonder if Craig Biggio was ever hit 3 times in one game. No.
No? No is the answer?
No is the answer we have. But we'll check it. Jason probably not too ambitiously pursuing that mark of being drilled 3 times. Last time he was hurting. In particular as he went up the first base line. And he looks at ball 2. So he hasn't really seen much to hit tonight. He was at 0-2 his first time up when he was hit by that pitch that bounced.
At some point, they're going to have to start coming in on Jason, and showed us last year what he can do once they start that.
That's a liner left field, and it's caught by the ball boy. Good catch down there.
Did he hang on?
I think he did. No, he didn't.
I think he had a good first step.
We need a review of this. I thought he caught it.
Well, let's take it back to New York, and we'll decide. The original call was caught. I think we're going to have to overturn that one.
You could tell by his reaction he didn't catch it. Okay, the club record for being hit in one game for the Astros, 3. Glenn Davis in 1990, Richard Hidalgo in 2000.
Richard had 40 bombs that year, didn't he?
He had 44, and Jeff Bagwell had 47.
Wow.
Crazy year.
That was the, what, 250, how many?
249 Astro homers, setting a National League record that still stands in the first year of this ballpark, and that's a crazy number, and they've never come close to that since.
I saw a Toronto Blue Jay club a few years back. I believe hit 257, 256.
Runners not going. Ground ball there. Roberts with the toss. Cheater the middleman on a 4-6-3 double play. And Fowler takes third, but the Yankees get their 4th double play in 5 innings.
Pitcher's best friend. And then you start getting multiples. And like you say, 4 in 5 innings of play. That has saved the bacon from one Mr. Nova.
We've had a 4-6-3, a 6-4-3, a 6-3, and a 4-6-3. Nova's middle infielders is very good friends tonight. Now, Jose Altuve has a runner at third and 2 outs. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI. Chris Carter on deck. Curveball good for strike 1. That Lancaster team, the Astros high Class A team in California, is just absolutely loaded up with prospects this year. Vincent Velasquez starting their opener tonight. Baseball America ranks the prospects of all the teams. So for the Astros, their number 1 prospect, their number 3, their 5th, their 6th, their 11th, their 14th, their 16th, 22nd, 29th prospects all play for Lancaster this year. Mark Appel is there, Carlos Correa is there, Rio Ruiz, and all these other guys who are really highly regarded. That's going to be a team to watch.
Carlos Correa. What was that? An RBI base hit in his first at bat?
Didn't know about that.
Yeah, just took place. It's hot on the wires.
Breaking news. Thank you. How many runs batted in do you think Carlos Correa might have if he plays all season in Lancaster?
Where does he hit in the order?
Don't know.
Yeah, if he hits 3-4, that's 140, 142 game schedule, I want to say, somewhere in that vicinity.
I think so. Yeah.
Hey, he should get over 100, but yeah, he might also move along.
Smash goes foul. He might have a George Springer type of year, half a season with one club and then promoted to half a season with another.
I don't think I would advise Carlos Correa to get a 6-month lease.
That's pretty sound advice. Well, don't guys share in the minor leagues? Maybe 2 or 3 guys go together on it.
Back in the day when you were making $550, $600 a month, we used to put 3, 4, 5 guys in easily. Yeah, come on, we got room. It's only 1 bedroom, but we've got room.
Whoa, that's up around the head of Altuve for ball 4. Wow. And now becomes a question for Joe Girardi of how long to stay with Nova. That's his 4th walk. He's hit 2 batters. So the only reason he's in this game, the 4 double plays.
Watch Altuve's reaction. You know you're in trouble. And there's just a little bit of a moment there where you just are grateful that you didn't take that anticipated thunk.
Boy, that's scary. Now runners at first and third, 2 outs. Chris Carter, the batter. He's walked and he's bounced into a double play. Altuve takes off, and there won't be a play on him. That's strike 1 call to Carter.
That's pretty smart. You size it up. Go ahead and take it if they're going to give it to you. And now base hit for Carter, and the Astros can take the lead.
We'll wait to be told whether that's fielder's indifference. One hopper out to Jeter. on over to first to end it, and the Astros come up with a run on 2 hits in the 5th, and they leave 2. It's 3-2 Yankees.
The Yankees lead, and we are looking for a little paperwork to move things along here, as the Astros appear to be making a change behind the plate as Carlos Corporon's back there. Brownie, Jason Castro being plunked a couple of times. It would appear that maybe that last one might have taken its toll.
That was in the 3rd inning when he was hit, well, it looked like around the right foot area, didn't it? And he really took some time getting to first base. The trainer, head athletic trainer Nate Lucero, came out. They had a conversation, and Jason appeared to be in quite a bit of pain. And then after batting in the 5th inning, bouncing into a double play, he's no longer in the game, so it's Carlos Corporon taking over. You're right, and so we'll wait for a report on Castro. By the way, another thing to clean up from the last inning, Jose Altuve was credited with a stolen base when Carter was batting.
Yeah, I think that's accurate too, because he was being held at first base, so you can't take that away from him.
3-2 Yankees. Carlos Beltran drove in one of those 3 for New York. That was with a sac fly in the 3rd. He had lined out to third base his first time up, and takes ball 1. All the way, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Did you hear about Orbit riding in the MS 150?
Everywhere I turned today, I saw that in my face.
Yeah.
Apparently he's a big star these days.
He is a very big entertainer. Yes.
I guess we could say he's in a position where he could get a big head over that, couldn't he?
It's possible. Brad Peacock warming up. He will become the first mascot to ride the entire BP MS 150, and that will be Saturday, April 12th, and Sunday, April 13th. It's a 2-day fundraising event hosted by the National Multiple Sclerosis Society.
How do you keep those feet on the pedals?
I have no idea. That's a strikeout looking. It's number 5. Can you imagine? Right. First of all, just riding in that event. Secondly, in Orbit paraphernalia.
You know, in shorts rather, and a t-shirt, I'd be sweating bullets. Orbit is in some kind of shape.
Well, he rappelled down 29 stories of the Four Seasons Hotel in downtown Houston. Mark Teixeira, strike 1. Have you ever tried rappelling? Have you tried rappelling?
I've never tried, but I've had that impact.
Okay. Now there's a website here where you can contribute to Orbit's efforts and kind of match the miles that he rides. And we'll try to find that for you and pass that along as well. inside that. Almost got Teixeira on the leg.
You know, this is a guy, Mark Teixeira, who can play that take game and still hit with a lot of power. Now, his batting average has suffered, maybe in doing so, but he doesn't change the power stroke.
And he's a better hitter from this right side of the plate. There's a shortstop. Whoops. It came up on VR, but he stayed with it. Now, that was perfect technique.
That's ideal, Brownie. Yeah, you're going to get beat with some ground balls. If you can keep it in front by having good positioning, that's number one. And then don't panic. Know your runner. And with that strong arm, just use enough to make the good sure throw. That's ideal.
This is a much better defensive Jonathan VR than we saw at spring training early this year.
That is struggles. There's no question. But I think the focus, the hard work every day is starting to pay off.
He made 6 errors in the spring. Now Bo Porter out to take the ball from Brett Oberholzer. And that time squarely in front of the ball. Took it off the chest, but that allowed the ball to be in front of him, and he easily regrouped to make that throw. Oberholzer's out of the game. 3-2 Yankees. 92 pitches for Brett. We'll be right back.
He's leading the Astros 3-2. Kick off your weekend at Minute Maid Park this season with Friday Night Fireworks. That's presented by Marathon Oil Corporation. Enjoy post-game fireworks after every Friday home game this season. Visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS for more info.
Thanks, Julia. We look forward to that one tomorrow against the Angels. Here's the night for Brett Oberholzer. 5 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs allowed, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, 92 pitches for Brett. And now it's Brad Peacock who has warmed up in this 3-2 game with the Yankees leading, preparing for his first 2014 appearance. Last year he was 5-6. His ERA was 5.18. He was in 18 games, 14 as a starter, and allowed 15 homers.
Little bit of the feel of that piggyback style used in the minor leagues here.
Well, that's a good point. There's strike one on the breaking ball to Alfonso Soriano.
At some point you would figure this guy is going to become one of the starters this year. You hope the 5 in there do the job and they stay all season.
Good heater there at 93.
Just blowing it by.
This is what Bo Porter likes, that when Brad has pitched in relief, and only 4 of those appearances last year, but he's been really aggressive with his fastball. So Bo has no qualms about putting Brad in the bullpen. But he could go back to starting, and that same thing could be said of Jerome Williams, who pitched in relief last night.
Yeah, those were the 2 other guys among 4 guys vying for the final 2 spots. Of course, Lucas Harrell and Dallas Keuchel won the 2 final spots in the rotation.
You could say that Bo has 7 starters right now. Fly ball outside the right field. Now, Brad was saying before the game today that he hasn't pitched that much in relief, just a few times. So he's really soliciting the advice of the veterans in the bullpen, the guys who have been added to the club this year, Chad Qualls and Matt Albers, and taking a lot of counsel from them about how to get ready. 2-2.
I think Brad Peacock has the kind of stuff that can succeed, and he's had his struggles. When he's on, he looks really good. There's a funny thing for me when I see Brad Peacock on the hill. It reminds me of, and you'll never guess, and don't jump on me because of this, Tom Seaver. Kind of body size.
Right.
That over-the-top drive with the back leg kind of style a little bit. I just see a little bit of Tom Seaver, and I'd love to see that play out.
Didn't you wear number 41?
Might have, yes.
Short hop play by VR. And again, he was right behind the baseball, so he takes care of out number 3. It's 3-2 Yankees in the 6th.
Astros and the Yankees, and it is time to introduce you to our progressive fan of the game. We've got our progressive bag, and next to me is Joe with RLG International, a company, and y'all work here in Houston, but you're with a bunch of people here in the same shirts. What's the story behind this?
Well, we came down to root for our hometown team in the first opening series of the week, and we thought, let's support our team by getting some jerseys and getting some numbers put on with our names.
What's the numbers stand for on the back?
The numbers are for the years that we've been with our company.
Very, very nice. All right, well, have a good time. Here's your bag.
Thank you very much.
Y'all enjoy the game.
Thank you.
Brownie, back to you.
Thanks, Julia. Mark Krause, the batter. There was strike one from Ivan Nova, leading 3-2. And he drops in another curveball. 0-2. Krause is 0 for 1 with a walk. Yankees have been out hit by the Astros 6-5. No errors in the game tonight. Houston has stranded 6. New York has left 2. And that curveball bounced. 1-2. That website, if you want to find out more about the BPMS 150, is bpms150.net. It's just off the plate, and it's 2-2. Well, that was a great idea by those guys to get the numbers of the years that they have spent in service with their company. We noticed them right at the beginning of the game sitting there together, forming their own little team. 3-2. Jim McInville, Mattress Mac, bought a lot of Astros gear for his employees to wear at Gallery Furniture. There you see the names and numbers. Fly ball high, left center field. Soriano back. 1 out.
Is that still a popular jersey, that shoulder rainbow, John?
I think so. What is your favorite jersey?
Well, sometimes I just cautiously, I would say, I love the Flying Star uniform. The gold and was it gold, silver and blue, and But, you know, they've all been good looking. They've all had their appeal.
I like that one from the mid-90s. Matt Dominguez 0 for 2. Whoa. The curve has been very erratic for Nova. And there's the rainbow.
Yeah, that's every softball team's uniform there for about 20 years. Those were great, though.
Yeah.
And I love the old original. When I came in '79, and it had the number, the player's number on the front of the pant leg.
I love those.
I thought those were great.
Yeah.
You could identify players coming and going, and
that's why I loved them.
Yep.
The guy would come out in the on-deck circle. You couldn't see his back.
Yep.
You could see his number.
Yeah, the thing is, the uniforms were so unique at the time that we didn't bother wearing grays on the road. All you needed was one set.
Mm-hmm.
Very seldom was that uni going to get confused with the Dodgers.
3-1. Now the Yankees they're trapped. They're trapped with tradition, right?
They are.
They've stayed with this uniform.
Yeah, you can't change that now.
No, they'll never be able to change it.
I think the Dodgers and Cardinals kind of fall in that category, don't they?
True. They really do. There would be such a furor if they changed uniforms after all these years.
The Padres have never changed their uni.
Really?
Oh, that's right. About how many times?
Remember
in fact, during the course of any given season.
That mustard yellow and brown.
Oh, those were special. How about the Pirates' little caps back in '79?
Yeah, Phil Garner and We Are Family. They wore those flat caps, stripes around them.
Mm-hmm.
They had a yellow and black thing going, but that's always been
yeah.
color
But when you're winning, yellow and black looks good.
Yes, it does.
Tony Gwynn wore those and wore them quite well.
Mm-hmm. Adam Warren's warming up for the Yankees. There's a walk to Dominguez. And Matt said a few days ago he would like to walk more this year. Didn't walk all that often last season. And he thinks it would help. That's number 5 of the night for Nova. And maybe he'll get some better pitches if he lays off some of those marginal offerings and draws more walks.
I was glad to see Matt Dominguez launch his first home run of the year last night opposite field. He said he knew he got it despite the fact it was just about 3 rows back. But yeah, he's got potentially a really valuable bat.
He really does. Alex Presley is 1 for 2. Well, Bull Porter is going to make sure that Presley's in that lineup a fair amount. There you see Bill Matlock.
How do you win a batting title in that unit? That guy could do it.
He won 2 or 3 titles, right?
Yeah, he did. Bill Matlock could really swing it.
Pure hitter.
Rolled his right hand was way too far rolled. Or if you take the big knuckles and almost line them up, that's about what he did. I don't know how he hit from that position.
1 ball, 1 strike to Presley. There's his line for the night. Yeah, and he's played all 3 outfield positions. He can be used off the bench, so the Astros were excited to get him. Thinking about the different ways that they might be able to use him. Right now he's in a right field platoon with L.J. Hose. He looks at that one, and it's a 2 ball, 1 strike count. But Presley, a guy with his abilities in the National League, could be used late in the game to pinch run, pinch hit, come in and play an outfield spot. And that typically is done very seldom in the American League. For instance, in right field, I don't think that Bull Porter would remove L.J. Hose late in the game to put in Presley defensively. Do you?
I'd be surprised. I don't know enough yet about Presley defensively, and L.J. did a nice job in his opportunities a year ago.
Well, they're both pretty good.
Yeah, it would seem so. It's a challenge, as you said earlier, being a bench player in the American League. Really comes down to performing when you get your chances.
Overholzer talking on the left as you look at it. L.J. Hose on the right. Jesse Crane is on the disabled list. He's on a throwing program right now. Jesse said that once he completes his throwing program and his arm strength is back where it needs to be, he'll head for Florida for some rehab time there in Kissimmee. And then he'll need a minor league rehab stint, maybe only a game or two there before rejoining the club, and that could be before the end of April.
That's Crane, second from the right.
That's a ball, and that's 3-2 now to Presley. 87 pitches for Nova to this point. Jonathan Villar on deck. One-run game here in the 6th inning. The Astros will have a return visit to Yankee Stadium, and that'll be it for the season series. One series in each ballpark. That's a liner over Jeter, and Gardner in center with a sliding catch. 2 outs.
Reaction and speed by Gardner. That's one of the things that he does so well. Watch this jump. Takes that little quarter of a beat and then he is on it.
Joe Girardi comes out to the mound to take the baseball from Ivan Nova, who went 5 2/3, and he could be the winning pitcher in this one. Girardi will go to the bullpen. Jonathan Villar coming up next. It's the Yankees 3, the Astros 2. Back in a moment.
By MD Anderson, making cancer history. And I don't know how many of you remember this in an exhibition game between the Texas Rangers and the University of Texas. Nolan Ryan starts against Reed Ryan. The Rangers win at 12-5. Wow. I guess not only the Griffies had a chance to play together, but this had to be one of those special moments.
Oh, you know it. April 3rd, 1991.
Of course, Reed Ryan, a minor league pitcher for a portion of his life.
Yes, he was. Adam Warren is a major league pitcher for the first time in 2014. He's 3-2 with a 3.39 ERA off last year's 2013 season, and that was his second in the major leagues. He's 26 years old, from Birmingham, Alabama, and he went to the University of North Carolina.
Left-hand hitters tend to take advantage there at 301, and Jonathan Villar is going to stand on that side of the plate and see if he can take advantage.
Well, he'd love to pile on with that stat. He ripped a double down the left field line in the 5th inning and came around to score. He's 1 for 2. Adam Warren was a 4th-round choice of the Yankees in the 2009 draft. Here's strike 1. Well, the Yankees used him 34 times last year, twice as a starter, and he piled up 77 innings in relief for Joe Girardi last season. Big cut by Villar. He falls behind 0-2 in the count. It's Seattle 1, Oakland nothing. They're now in the bottom of the first at Oakland. That Seattle club out of the gate 3-0.
Justin Smoke is swinging a big bat.
It's the Justin and Dustin show with Dustin Ackley also hitting well. Robinson Cano, of course.
Miller.
Brad Miller. VR strikes out to end the 6th inning with no runs, no hits, and a man stranded. Through 6, Yankees 3, Astros 2.
Photos using hashtag Astros fan photo, and that's for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game telecast. It's the Astros fan photo brought to you by AT&T there. Speaking of photos, we have a great one. Guys, social media, Throwback Thursday is a big thing. Hashtag TBT, and this is a throwback of Jason Castro right here. The backpack one was so great. That's your catcher, Jason Castro. Throwback style, guys.
How did you get that?
Woo! His wife. His wife, Maris, was nice.
Maris somehow got that out of the house. Fly ball to right field here, leading off the 7th inning by Cervelli. And on the track, it's Presley. Cervelli got some distance on that one, but Peacock retires him. 1 down.
You know, I think that name, Maris Castro, first name has to go as maybe the front runner in the clubhouse, his best wife's name in Major League Baseball.
I agree.
I don't know of any named Babe or anything like that.
No.
Although a lot of guys probably call him that.
Sure. Brian Roberts is 0 for 2 in this game.
Mantle.
That doesn't have a nice ring to it.
You know, you just couldn't get away with DiMaggio, could you?
No. Fly ball, and that'll hang. Presley over, but Fowler calls. 2 pitches, 2 outs for Brad Peacock. And it's nice for Jerome Williams, who pitched last night for the first time as an Astro. He got in a scoreless inning, and Brad Peacock working here in the 7th inning to get in the mix early in the season, get that first appearance under their belts, Ash.
Yeah, he finished up the spring nicely, and it's good to see him out here throwing strikes, getting outs. Again, I feel like he's a guy that one way or another is going to be a crucial part of what the Astros do on the hill this year.
There's strike 1 to Ichiro, who singled and scored in the 3rd. He's 1 for 2.
I dare you to go home and call your wife Yogi tonight.
That doesn't work. 1-1. Slugger.
No guts, no glory, Brownie.
The report tonight on Jason Castro is that he has right foot and right ankle discomfort, and he will be reevaluated at a later date, which will be tomorrow, of course. 2 balls and a strike.
I had a pretty good idea there was some discomfort going on there.
Yeah, there was.
The way he went down the line.
He might have Then hit right on that top bone of the foot. Couldn't tell. 3 balls and a strike. St. Louis won at Cincinnati 7-6. Lance Lynn winning it over Homer Bailey. Trevor Rosenthal got the save. Johnny Peralta hit his first homer as a Redbird.
These Cardinals look good once again.
Oh, they really do. Line shot, left center field. That will go by Robbie Grossman all the way to the left center field wall. Ichiro cruising into second, and it's a 2-hit game.
Ichiro maybe making a statement to say, don't forget about me, guys.
Yep.
The Yankees have brought in some pretty good names. You're not going to unseat Carlos Beltran minus an injury. That's pretty, though. That's more the full stroke. Still the same thing, staying there with that front hip, staying close and using the hand so well. But if he gets a pitch in the zone to handle, he'll get a good swing on it. The others, magic wand time.
Down here with Solarte next. Solarte's 2 for 2 in his first major league start. Strike one for Peacock on the changeup. Brett Gardner on deck. The Yankees and Astros each have 6 hits and no errors. New York up 3-2 as it turns into a battle of the bullpens now. Shea Bruce hit his first homer, and Frazier hit 2 for the Reds. Todd Frazier. But you were saying that Billy Hamilton is hitless for the season.
6 punch-outs, 0 for 12. Leadoff man for the Reds. Yeah, I'm sure they've got a pretty long leash there. A very talented, speedy guy that figures to be ideal as a leadoff hitter, but it's not working right now.
And tied for a ball, 2-1. Well, a lot of fantasy league players are going to be really unhappy because a lot of people took Hamilton high thinking he might steal 100 bases.
Well, if he ever gets on base, I'm sure the running game is going to come into play. We saw him late last year, and he was impressive.
Grounded foul.
Looks like he weighs about 140 pounds, but can really fly.
He sure does. Did you know David Letterman has announced that he will be retiring when his contract expires?
Which is what, 9 years from now?
Probably.
No, I hadn't heard that. Another guy has kind of taken the scene at late night.
A fellow named Fallon?
Could be. Kimmel's not bad either.
Turned back towards second by Peacock. Update on Carlos Correa. He's 2 for 2 with 2 runs batted in.
Maybe Letterman's making plans to go hang out with Leno.
I don't think he could stand to be working if Jeter had retired.
No.
It's somehow linked to the Jeter retirement. That'll go foul.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't everything?
It seems. Now, somebody on radio talk shows doing a poll of the fans to come up with what the gifts will be in each city for Derek Jeter this year.
Got to get better each time, don't they? See what those last guys gave him?
I don't think the Red Sox will. Yeah, they will.
Give him a key to the city.
Foul ball back. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes.
With a warning, don't try to use it.
That's been such a bitter rivalry down through the years. So what do you think about the AL East in these early days? Who would be your pick to win?
Wow. It's really an intriguing division. I've said a few times I like, I'm sure Yankees fans right now are not too pleased, but I like the Yankees starting rotation. I look at the players on the field. I think they've got a chance. I don't know about the Red Sox at this point. I'm not sure I'm bought in there. Tampa Bay tends to win no matter who they have. And Tampa Bay could be a team that could be factored in. Blue Jays can be sneaky, but I'm not sure that they've got enough pitching on that starting side. we'll see. We'll get a little closer look here coming up next week.
Evan Longoria homered tonight, and the Rays won over Toronto. So that's yet another loss of a series to Toronto at Tampa Bay. Popped up. Peacock is underneath, but Corcoran's calling. Now Corcoran, it drives, and now a run scores. 4-2 Yankees.
Well, you know, as a catcher, it's yours till you're called off. And once you go out in that position, Carlos was hustling to get there, no doubt about it. But that's a costly run. And if you don't hear somebody call you off and you've made this move, you better stay on it. And I have a feeling there was nothing said from either corner right there.
It's ruled a hit.
Yeah, you can see both. Well, of course, pitcher's going to lay off on that play. Krause was nowhere near as Matt Dominguez came on, but didn't appear that anybody had anything to say on the play. Catchers tend to be the guy, if you don't say anything and you hear nothing from anybody else, it's your ball.
It looked like Carlos was going for it, and then he, at the last moment, shied away. So that makes it the third hit of the night for Solarte, an RBI for him. And the Yankees get a very cheap run to lead 4-2. A gift run.
Well, you know who that really punishes is Brad Peacock.
Yeah.
It's very, very tough.
It's an earned run. Should have been the third out. Any more runs that might score this inning would be earned.
And, of course, the Yankees stat hitting with runners in scoring position and 2 outs just got a whole lot better.
Swing and a miss there on the off-speed pitch. Gardner has a 2-1 count. That could be awfully big to get that run home. Now make it a 2-run lead for the Yankee bullpen, which for the first time in a couple of decades is without closer Mariano Rivera. In terms of him being on the roster anyway, he's missed some games down through the years, but it's a totally new era beginning. Now 3-1. Let's take another look at it.
I don't think it's going to get any prettier. Carlos comes out, tosses the mask, he's set to go, and I'd be curious if he felt like he heard something. But I doubt that he heard anybody convincingly saying, "I got it."
Right.
And again, it's not an easy play for a catcher, but you're kind of stuck with it.
Well, just the way he reacted, it appeared that he thought somebody was really close to him, and that's why he didn't keep going for it.
Yeah, maybe that sense of feel that somebody was right on him. That's a real challenge. That ball that drops right in front of the mound, typically not a catcher's ball.
3-2 now.
Long way to run for the corner infielders, but maybe a little surprise. Well, I'm going to take that back. Had Krause been holding at the bag where he'd have a bit of a short run, it might have been an easy play at first base. It wasn't the case here. You can see Matt had a long ways to come.
Now Solarte will take off, and it's ball 4. And Jeter comes up.
And I'm sure some people are saying, well, why not have the pitcher take it? I don't know why. Quite honestly, pitchers have never been involved in pop-up plays. You don't see PFP involving the pop-up very often.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunate play.
And now to put it behind him and get Jeter and keep the deficit at 4-2. That's the next mission as Corcoran and his battery mate Peacock talk it over. And Jeter's 1 for 2, an RBI single in the 5th. A couple of plays not made, really, when you look back at this game, can make a huge difference. The other one on the Jeter's hit that involved a throw to the plate that was cut off, and it appeared that Solarte would have been out.
That was big. And it was a good throw from Presley in right field. And as you say, it appeared it was not only going to be a bang-bang out, it was going to be a rather handy out.
Jeter needs one more hit to tie one of the all-time greats, Paul Molitor, on the all-time hit list. Inside ball one. Molitor in 8th place on the all-time list with 3,319. And then the next man up in the 7th spot has 100 more hits. Carl Yastrzemski, 34-19.
Jeter could get there.
Yes, he could.
From what I see right now, there's no reason to think he's going to have a real poor year.
Strike, and it's 1-1.
Hey, I think it's more about health than anything for Jeter.
Boston won 4-3 at Baltimore, for which DeBrant the winner. And Koji Uehara got the save. Xander Bogaerts continued his hot start. He collected 3 more hits for the Red Sox.
Bogart and all the hits.
1 and 2. Brad Peacock in relief of Brett Oberholzer. Oberholzer went 5 2/3 innings, allowing 5 hits, 3 runs. Ivan Nova 5 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs. Nova walked 5, had a strikeout, and he had 12 ground ball outs. There were 4 double plays behind him. That's bounce foul. You know, Joe Torre, who won a batting title, and he was really tremendous hitter, once hit into 4 double plays in 1 game.
There's a case of a guy winning a batting title, guy that, to my knowledge, really didn't run well.
No.
Think of Norm Cash, kind of did the same thing. That's pure hitting right there.
The Astros club record, 4 double plays in 1 game. They turned 7, and the Yankees turned 7 for their club record. That's the American League record as well. That was way back in 1942. Swing and a miss, and Jeter has struck out, but the Yankees pick up a cheap run on 2 hits, and in the middle of the 7th inning they lead it 4-2.
By Coldwell Bank. We're looking at Dexter Fowler, and we've been seeing a lot of this guy, but here he was at Coors in the Rocks pinstripes, and he had a heck of a year last year at home. On the road he struggled, but right now he's really just doing the same thing. Off to a great start at home, and you hope that continues and that he gains that confidence and just makes it a great year overall.
Well, fans are still enjoying their 7th inning stretch. Dexter Fowler will lead it off in the home 7th inning. And he now joins Ken Caminetti in 1987 as the only players to begin their Astros career with 3 straight multi-hit names. I remember that, games rather. I remember that because he was called up against the Philadelphia Phillies that year. And he was National League Player of the Week.
First week in the bigs, that's right.
He just went nuts in that series against the Phillies.
You know, in the dugout, we're looking at this guy. A lot of us didn't even know Cam, and just thinking, I've never seen a guy look this good.
Yeah,
he was just amazing.
Diving plays at third base,
and he could throw. I want to tell you, I'm not sure I've ever seen another guy that I would rate quite with Ken Caminiti with the arm.
Oh yeah, cannon arm.
He got behind the plate in spring training and just embarrassed the rest of us catchers right off the field. It was just sick the way he could throw to second base.
Strike two. Dexter Fowler from Adam Warren, 1 and 2. Fowler's 2 for 3 with an RBI. And I remember for 8, 10, 12, 15 years after that, every time we'd see the Phillies broadcasters, they would say, boy, that Cam was unbelievable in that first series. They just never forgot it. How could a guy live up to a first series like that in the majors?
You know what, though? He was an unforgettable player.
Yep.
I mean, the things he did with that arm and with the bat from both sides of the plate. And what a great guy.
Played the game very, very hard. That's strike 3. Change speeds at 84 miles per hour for strikeout number 2 for Adam Warren.
Working that hard running sinking fastball at the knees. Started inside. Just so many left-hand hitters will quit on that pitch.
Robbie Grossman has a hit and a walk tonight. 4-2 Yankees. Ball 1 to Robbie. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Adam Warren at North Carolina was 32 and 4.
And he got drafted with those numbers?
4th round.
Wow. Ooh, nice changeup down to 84. Still that same sinking running action as the fastball had. 4th round for a guy that pitched that way.
Crazy, isn't it?
Change-up grip. There it is.
Warren comes in to get it. 2 outs. Jason Castro was hit by pitches the first 2 times up. That was the first time, and then he got it on the right foot.
Yeah, that's the one that probably has provided the discomfort. That hurts. Yeah, the thing is, you get hit like that and you think, man, I was feeling so good, and now this injury starts to nag for some period of time. It can just destroy what feels like it's an ideal start to a season.
Carlos Corcoran hit .225 last year. He's 0 for 1 in this series. Infield shifted around, playing him to pull. That's ball 1. Carlos came up as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning last night for Chris Carter with the bases loaded and grounded back to the pitcher. That's in the air on the left side. Jeter out to shallow left field to end the 7th inning with the score 4-2 Yankees.
For the 8th here at Minute Maid Park. In 2014, every Thursday home game is $1 Dog Thursday. That's presented by HEB. Come to Minute Maid Park on Thursdays. Scarf down all the $1 dogs you can possibly eat all game long. Visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS for more info.
Thanks, Julia. Thursday night, Dollar Dog night, and they are getting after it. And we have the Friday night fireworks coming up tomorrow night as the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim come in for the first of 4 games. It's a 7:10 start tomorrow night, 6:30 for the pregame show right here for Lucas Harrell and Garrett Richards. Saturday night, 6:10 start time. Get here early as Lance Berkman and Roy Oswalt are honored. Dallas Keuchel and Tyler Skaggs will be the pitchers. Carlos Beltran hits a curveball foul. There's strike one as he leads off the 8th inning. He's 0 for 2 with a sac fly. Sunday afternoon, it's Scott Feldman and Jared Weaver. The matchup of opening day starters at 110, and then Monday afternoon a 110 game. That's a strike for Jared Cozart and C.J. Wilson. And then the Astros will head for Toronto, and they'll continue to Arlington, Texas after that. Yankees trying to become the first New York team to win this year. Peacock hits it upstairs and strikes him out. Number 2. The Mets have lost to the Nationals 8-2, and they're 0-3. It's kind of been a rainy couple days here in Houston. Not a lot of rain, but enough to keep the roof closed. After that roof was opened, of course, for the opening game. Mark Teixeira looks at strike one. He's 0 for 3.
I'm a big fan of air conditioning. I like the feel.
All right. Now the Toronto ballpark, of course, is a dome stadium.
You can guarantee it that thing's going to be buttoned up come this time of year.
How cold is it there?
It can get a bit on the frigid side.
It's 1-2. Julia will probably go running around Lake Ontario.
She will. She'll stay warm and doing it.
She's going to the CN Tower, we're told.
She's going to lean out off the top up there and
charged by VR. Teixeira retired, 2 down.
Ash, what are you trying to have me do?
Oh, you're a gutsy gal.
He wants
lean
you to,
out over the city of Toronto.
He wants you to parachute off the CN Tower. You could rappel down from the CN Tower.
They've got this deal up there. You go out and you get up on that top shelf. I don't know what they call it, but they hook you up with harnesses, and then you lean out and you hang out. And
oh, really?
And so I heard Julia talking about how she wants to do that. So we need to make it happen.
I don't know if I said I wanted to do it.
I thought that's the way I heard it.
I'm a little afraid of heights.
It's up there too.
Wow. Soriano off the end of the bat hits it right to where Krause is. Krause tossing to Peacock for a 3-1 out, number 3. We move to the bottom of the 8th inning. Yankees 4, Astros 2.
Home game at Minute Maid Park this season for Family Sundays presented by Kroger. With the Astros, you can do it, certainly. Make sure to take advantage of special Kroger Family 4-pack for only $75 on select Sunday games. For tickets, 1-877, or rather, let's try it again, 1-877-9-ASTROS or Astros.com.
Family Sundays. One of those coming up this weekend before the Astros get out of town after the Monday afternoon finale of this 7-game homestand. We have different outfielders now in left and center. There's Gardner moving to left field, and Brett had started in center field. Now the new center fielders, Jacoby Ellsbury, and a new pitcher as well, Sean Kelly. He takes over after 4 outs were turned in by Adam Warren. Last night, Kelly retired pinch hitter Carlos Corcoran for the only man he faced. Now it's line to third, Solarte. Altuve robbed by Solarte. Had to be really quick on that.
Solarte drawn in, respecting the bunt possibility, and so the reaction time has to be even finer. Altuve off to such a fine start in this ball. You can see that wicked hook on the ball. Yeah, that's hitting it on the money. This game is just simply not fair at times.
The ball was crushed.
And then that other 1% of the time, I guess it is fair.
Chris Carter, the batter. A strike one from Kelly. Carter's 0 for 2 with a walk. Sean Kelly will turn 30 later on this month. He's from Louisville. Pitched 57 times for the Yanks last year. 0-2. And despite the loss of Mariano Rivera to retirement, Yankees feel they will have a good bullpen this year. David Robertson as their new closer. 1-2.
Yeah, that's yet to be tested for the Yankees, although Robertson has had some opportunities in the past.
He's been good as a setup man.
Yep.
Carter strikes out. 2 outs. It's only the 4th strikeout of the night for Yankee pitching. They've held the Astros to 6 hits. Only 1 for extra bases. Mark Krause will be batting next. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. You know, not to make anything of this because it's only a few games, but so far in Major League Baseball, coming into today's games, the average runs scored per game for both teams is only 7.3. And that's down about 1 run per game from all of last season. Of course,
the summer will heat that up a bit.
You're right, and it's the top of the rotation for every team, so it's tougher to score.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, see Wrigley Field when you talk about summer versus cold weather. Of course, that's the extreme.
But you're making an excellent point that, you know, you go into a cold weather environment, it's so much tougher to hit. Usually pitcher's advantage, so it's not a fair test.
Yeah, I think most people will say you need about a third of the season to kind of get a feel for what's happening. Even then, you're going to get surprised a lot of times, but I think we'll probably see numbers that seem a little more realistic.
Yes.
Well, you've asked me about that American League East. What are your thoughts on that division?
They're rather jumbled right now, 1 and 2. You know, there have been several people who have picked Tampa Bay. And you mentioned they're a strong contender. I agree with that. I think the Yankees will be pushing maybe 87, 90 wins, somewhere around there. I don't think Boston is as good. Doesn't mean the Red Sox can't win the division. Baltimore's kind of hard to handicap, although
they are.
You know, those late acquisitions. There you see where they finished last year, the Orioles and Yankees tying at 85-77. They picked up Nelson Cruz, and that's looking really good through the first couple of games.
Who led the major leagues in home runs as a team last year?
The Orioles?
The Baltimore Orioles. Now they've added Nelson Cruz. So, you know, they've got a chance of being a good offense.
Yeah.
They've promoted pitching, young pitching for years and years. If they get some pitching, they could be dangerous.
Yeah. Their rotation does not seem to be as strong to many as some of the others in the AL East. And of course, they picked up Ubaldo Jimenez late. There's still a couple of guys out there as free agents who haven't signed. That will go foul off the bat of Mark Krause to keep the count at 2-2. Let's take a look at the spending on free agents. The Yankees spent $471 million. The Mariners $262. Then it was the Giants, the Rangers, the Mets, the Astros. You know, the Astros 16th there. They made a bid reportedly for Tanaka of $100 million for a 7-year deal. He signed for $155 for the Yankees, and he'll make his debut for them tomorrow night.
I wonder what kind of plane he'd have flown in from Japan on for just $100 million.
Oh boy, probably a P-38.
But at 155, it was reportedly a 787.
Boy,
man,
that's crazy.
Carbon body, flying nothing less.
Swing and a miss, and that's a strikeout to end the 8th inning. The Astros haven't had a hit since the 5th, and they go to the 9th, trailing 4-2.
Tomorrow night, the Astros get their first of many looks at the Beverly Hills Angels of Hacienda Heights. That would be the LA Angels of Anaheim. Of course, pregame lives at 6:30. The game's at 7, only on Comcast Sportsnet.
And here is the pitching matchup for that particular game, brought to you by Chevron. And we see Garrett Richards, 7-8 last year with a 4.16 ERA, and Lucas Harrell, 6-17 with a 5.86, matching up tomorrow night. But in 3 starts against the LAA, he had a 1.53 ERA.
Good success.
Go to the 9th inning, 4-2. Brad Peacock staying in this game in relief of Brett Oberholzer. He's pitched 2 1/3 innings. Francisco Cervelli with a foul ball, strike 1. I like this. Just keeping him in the game.
I do too. It's well, number one, the numbers are completely out of line with the run he allowed in the 7th inning. To be fair to Brad Peacock, but it is one of those piggyback nights, and you're getting some good work out of a guy who figures to get some, if not a lot, of starts this year.
There are several sound reasons for this move. First of all, as you pointed out, he's pitching well. He's allowed that one tainted run. Secondly, it keeps him stretched out. If need be, he could go back into the rotation. That's his 44th pitch. Thirdly, it gives the other guys in the bullpen a rest, and there's a string of 13 straight games to open the season without a day off.
And I don't care how good your starting pitching is, there's going to come those back-to-back, maybe back-to-back-to-back games where you struggle a little bit and the bullpen gets taxed. You don't want to do that too much early on in the season.
No, sir, that can have a ripple effect. We saw that last year.
Well, you find so many bullpens that, well, they were good in the first half, don't know what happened in the second half. In a lot of cases, it's just simply getting overused. But you're overused out of necessity.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. We go to Julia.
Hey, Brownie, just one more time, wanting to remind everyone to log in to ingameastros.csnhouston.com and vote for the player of the game. Every vote counts, and the winner will be revealed during Astros postgame live coming up.
Looking ahead to next week, Julia, we're going to vote for you as you go up there in the CN Tower.
Oh, my
you
goodness.
look so good in red, too.
Yeah.
Look how high up that is. It's called the
Highlighted by
Edge
yellow?
Walk.
That is ridiculous. You can see China from up there.
Oh, my goodness. No.
Ryan Roberts, 0 for 3. Ball 1. If you go up there, we will shoot a photo of you and put it on social media.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm scared looking at it.
That is just absolutely scary.
Yeah, but you'll love the photo.
Oh.
You could take the game off. That we'll give you the game off if you'll go up there and do that.
I might need it after that.
Yeah, you would need it.
I think you need to tantalize her a little bit more. Chili dog at the end of that.
Yeah. A boomstick when you get to
There we
Arlington.
go. Where's my prize?
Is
There it is.
Is that
my
Julia?
goodness.
We've photoshopped her in.
That's incredible.
And those little tiny buildings down below, they're quite tall.
Was that Rob Ford down there? There's a one out.
No, that was a daytime shot.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of people down there. Don't look down, Julia, when you go up.
Wow.
Man, oh, man.
I don't know.
Is that
I'm getting sweaty palms over here already.
would that be the highest highest point for you ever in your life?
I would think so.
Okay. Ichiro Suzuki is 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored out of the number 8 spot. Very productive night for Ichiro.
It's right there with the press box in Pittsburgh.
There's strike 1. Yeah, you could get up there, Julia, and we'll record you saying, "That was just a bit outside."
Perfect. If I could talk while I'm up there, who knows? Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
You know, if they've got the roof open, you could probably call the game from up there.
There we go.
Now, don't eat breakfast before you go up, okay?
Right? Y'all would look like ants from way up there. Smaller than ants. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
These shots are great, though. The players were watching. Last year, it was really nice when we were in Toronto, and you could see, the roof was open. So the guys would just watch because you're wearing those bright red jumpsuits. Real easy to see.
Well,
You would catch the players just standing up and watching this take place.
have you ever gone skydiving?
No.
Well, that might be the time. Right into the stadium.
There we go. I could bring in the ball for the first pitch.
There's a foul ball, and Roberts was dancing off first base that time as Peacock delivered the pitch.
All I can say to Julia is we've got Sarah Eckert just let me know that there's a Twitter petition going on to make sure Julia gets up there.
A Twitter petition?
Yeah.
Well, then you know who started it, Sarah Eckert.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have words with Sarah. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm tickled as can be with Sarah. Nice going.
Foul, and Kelly Johnson did that update a few minutes ago. Kelly Johnson not in the lineup tonight for the Yankees.
Went in the clubhouse and said hi to Mr. Kelly Johnson this evening. Speaking of the Mr. Kelly Johnson.
That's an unusual way for a hitter to get ready, right?
Well, I don't know if that. I can't imagine what that would get you ready for.
I was going to ask you. It will get you ready to jump off the CN Tower. What's he trying to do with this stuff?
I got nothing for you. There's a guy that has never altered his approach.
No. Well, you figure you get 4,022 hits. Why change?
Has he ever been in a slump with that?
He couldn't have been in much of one.
And how many hits in Japan? Well, that's the total, right?
Yeah, it's total Japan and U.S. He's closing in on Ty Cobb for a career. And sure, Japanese baseball isn't quite on the same plane as Major League Baseball, but still, I don't care what league you're playing in. That's an impressive total of hits.
Those World Baseball Classics, Japan's done quite well.
Yeah. Minnesota outslugged the White Sox 10-9. Yankees fighting to go back to their next stop, which is Toronto, winning 1 game out of 3 in this season opening series. David Robertson's getting loose for the bottom of the ninth. That's flick foul.
Yeah, I thought we might see some of the Yankees hitters swing the bats a bit earlier tonight with that long flight they've got in front of them.
That is a long flight.
Yeah.
How long is it?
Well, from Houston,
yeah,
I'm going to say 3.5, maybe 4 hours. 3.5 anyway.
And then
I would think.
Clear customs.
Yep. So. Yeah, it makes for a long night.
Tanaka's already there, tomorrow night's starter for the Yankees. And that's typical. The starting pitcher for the next game will go ahead of the team if he chooses to on that long flight. So then he will add his arm to the Japanese contingent. Roki Kuroda has pitched in this series. Suzuki.
I'm very anxious to see Tanaka.
He had that devastating split-fingered fastball in spring training. That's a strikeout. Peacock had to work for it. That's his 4th.
Comes with a breaking ball. You're not going to fool Ichiro very often. But the great one has been caught looking. And on top of that, he went too far.
Now Solarte 3 for 3 tonight. And what's proved to be a great call for Joe Girardi, starting him at third base. His 3rd hit was a generous one on that pop fly that went uncaught near the mound. But then who would have gotten the error if the official score gave an error? Nobody touched the ball.
It's that old team error talk that's gone on forever. And yeah, there's a lot of good reason for that kind of talk, because it really is not fair to the pitcher who suffers the numbers that say, well, you weren't very effective in that ball game.
Exactly.
What do you mean? Gave up a pop fly that landed in front of the mound?
And that was with 2 outs in the inning. That's ball 1.
You know, some pitchers through the years have been told to be the sergeant on that play and say, you know, call out a guy's name now. I don't know if that took place or if the Astros even have considered that, but.
Well, Peacock was pointing in the air when the ball went up.
Yeah, and pitchers do. They'll say right there. Of course, nobody's looking at the end of his finger to see exactly where there is, but.
Good point.
Yeah, that's one of those plays where it very likely would have been a good choice to holler out Corp's name or whoever it may have been.
Yeah. Well, you know, you brought up a point, though, about spring training drills, pitchers' fielding practice. They don't go over that play.
No, the pop fly is seldom approached. You see, Peacock's still looking up, and no, it doesn't appear that he ever engaged in terms of who he wanted to take the play.
No. He was just trying to get out of the way of a position player who could make that play.
Yep, and that's wise. Get out of the way. I know I've been on teams where the pitcher was the guy that was supposed to make that call.
Well, we'll have to see what is said after the game about that, what the procedures are.
Correa apparently another hit and a couple of RBIs tonight.
3 balls and a strike. He might be in Corpus by the end of the weekend.
Well, what if they can book him later on this evening?
Jeff Luhnow likes for a player to have success at each level in the minor leagues before being promoted. And we'll have to ask Jeff. Well, I think we've had this conversation with him. Success for how long? And I would imagine he would say probably at least more than a month, wouldn't you? Now the umpires are conferring about something here. This is interesting.
This is intriguing.
In your mind, what's a fair amount of time for a player before he gets moved up to a higher level in the minor leagues?
You know what my problem is, Brownie, is that I played with guys who came up from A-ball and AA and were very successful on the big league level. Dennis Eckersley, Buddy Bell. And I could probably name some more. I saw others that did it. Some guys are ready. Some guys can play. It's not for us, apparently, obviously, to say who's ready and who's not. But it is the general consensus, I think, in the game today that you give the guys some minor league time. And I don't know. If you go and tear up Lancaster, for example, in A-ball, and you do it for 2 or 3 weeks, have you proven that maybe you need to be elevated? I think in my mind that may be the case.
Now, on the headsets with New York about something, these 2 umpires, the crew chief Jerry Davis with his back turned, and Phil Cuzzy facing us, are talking with the crew in New York. And there's the command center. This is a multi-million-dollar command center at Major League Baseball Advanced Media. They're checking the count. We've been told the scoreboard count is 3-1. That's what I have. So we'll see where the disagreement lies. But apparently, and this is a legitimate review.
Yes.
This is in the process of reviewing to get the count right. So somebody apparently took issue with this count.
It looked like it came from the umpires themselves. Sometimes it could come from a hitter or a catcher saying, wait a minute, that's not the right count. And they decide maybe it's time to look at it.
And this wouldn't be a challenge, would it?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think the challenge would come until a hitter goes jogging down to first base on ball 4.
Right. So neither manager has issued a challenge, but the umpires at their own directive.
I meant to say on ball 3.
We have confirmed the count is 3-1 by replaying all the pitches.
So our control center truck is a whole lot faster than New York, apparently.
Well, yeah, there might be something else we're not aware of here.
No expense spared.
No. But the idea is to get it right.
I think they just need to listen to your play-by-play of this matter.
They're directed not to do that. The strict instructions have already been handed out on that. Do not listen to the broadcasters.
They're talking about CNN towers and all kind, or CN tower.
Yeah,
whatever.
don't.
The CNN tower wouldn't be anywhere near what the CN tower is. Yeah.
The count is confirmed as 3-1. So now it's been a delay of a couple of minutes for Brad Peacock. And he goes back to work on Solarte. 3-1 count, 2 outs, runner at first. 4-2 Yankees in the 9th. That's ball 4. I wonder if it was because of that delay that he threw the pitch where he did. Sometimes a pitcher can get out of rhythm while he's just waiting around like that. But regardless, walk number 3.
Yeah, if you feel like you're getting out of rhythm, tell your catcher to get down and throw a couple balls his way.
You're allowed to do that.
Yep.
Well, okay. Yeah. So now Gardner will be the batter with runners at first and second. That could be costly too, because now 2 men on, 2 outs, and Gardner, who has an RBI hit and a walk tonight, gets a chance to prolong the Yankees' 9th inning. Seattle has the lead at Oakland 1-0 in the 5th tonight, as the Mariners try for a 4-0 start to the season. That's ball 1.
It's a pretty nice changeup. Because it had so much movement at the end, it dives out of the strike zone.
Brent Strom is coming out. Peacock looks just a little out of sync on those last couple.
Maybe just a brief comment. When guys get their throwing in the bullpen on the side sessions, whatever it may be, oftentimes there's one key that the pitching coach will mention to them, and if they go out to the mound and say, remember such and such, it's all that needs to be heard.
Anthony Bass is now at work in the bullpen. He's the only Astro reliever who hasn't made it into a game yet. In the air, and this pop-up is being pursued by Jonathan Villar. Takes over, and that ends it in the Yankee ninth. With no runs, no hits, 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the ninth inning. Yankees 4, Astros 2. Astros baseball is brought to you by AT&T. Rethink possible. 4-2 ball game. The Yankees lead. They are trying to avoid being swept by the Houston Astros. They've out-hit Houston 7-6 with no errors tonight. And now David Robertson, the new closer, taking over after the 20-year career of Mariano Rivera. He just made the opening day roster for the 5th time, but he's been well out of the spotlight in terms of closing. Last year he was 5-1 with a 2.04 ERA. Had 5 save opportunities, converting 3. He's been the setup man for Mariano Rivera, and a very good one in that job, Ash.
And he comes off a good spring, 6 scoreless innings, allowing just 1 hit. So, boy, sounded like he had his stuff together. 7 games to compile those 6 innings. It's a guy that's been through it. He seems to be comfortable with the whole situation.
Rough night for closers in the 9th inning or later last night, with 6 of those closers blowing saves. Jonathan Papelbon was one of them. David Robertson will turn 29 on April 9th. He's from Birmingham, Alabama. Went to the University of Alabama. He's had 116 holds coming in with the lead in the late innings and holding on to that lead, and then turning almost all of those over to Mariano Rivera. But now he's the man in the spotlight in the 9th inning.
I'll bet he has one of the best holds to win ratios in all of Major League Baseball.
Matt Dominguez looks at ball 1. Matt is 0 for 2 with a walk. Sean Kelly had 1 hitless inning with 2 strikeouts. Adam Warren had an inning and a third. He was perfect. So the Astros haven't had a base runner since 1 out in the 6th. That was a walk. 1-1. They haven't had a hit since the 5th inning single of Dexter Fowler. They've grounded into 4 double plays in this game, and they trail 4-2. Presley and Villar to follow Dominguez. And the appeal goes to first base. No call is made. 2 balls and a strike.
If Matty D reaches, do you go to the bench and maybe find a pinch runner over there? LJ Hose, I guess, could be a consideration.
Possibility. He's not the tying run, but
yeah,
you might want a little more speed out there. Fly ball to center field. Ellsbury backing. One down. And now it's Presley.
Astros greats Lance Berkman and Roy Oswalt retire as Astros. That's Saturday, just a couple of days from now, April 5th. Join us for a special pregame ceremony honoring their great careers, including speeches by both Astros legends. Following the ceremony, the Astros will face off against the Angels at 6:10. Get your tickets at Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Now Presley's the batter. He's 1 for 3. We really look forward to that Saturday night. Lance and Roy will be on the air with us. Presley with ball 1. We got an update on Jason Castro. He has a right foot contusion. X-rays were negative, and he is day-to-day. So very good news.
Well, you know he was hurting bad to get to that point coming out of a ball game.
Good. That's a strike call, 1-1. You know, that happened to somebody the other day. X-rays negative. Well, that's a positive that they're negative. It means no break, right? No broken bone.
That's the one negative in life you're always looking for.
Shouldn't those X-rays be positive if there's no broken bone?
We need to rewrite history.
Breaking ball, and it's 1-2. Presley tries to reach for VR. Anyway, it is good news, and that's it's always something that's good to hear, especially when it's a key player on the team and it's early in the season. He's coming off an all-star year. That's in the dirt, and it's 2-2.
You watch David Robertson work, and he throws a lot of those cutters. No doubt learned from the man himself.
Cisco Cervelli, the catcher.
That belt buckle sponsored by Alex Presley.
And the fastball gets a strikeout. 2 outs.
That's just pure live straight heat right there. You didn't see any movement at all. And a lot of people have a misconception that when it's straight, it's really hittable. But when you throw hard, the more it planes out. Sometimes the tougher it is to get to. See Nolan Ryan through the years.
Now it's VR. He doubled in the 5th and scored. He has struck out twice. Dexter Fowler's on deck. It's ball 1.
Wanted to make Nolan Ryan upset when he was on the hill. Tell him he had a good sinker working that night.
Ooh. VR shortens up, takes a strike. It's 1-1. Well, VR can reach. Fowler, the way he's hit with 6 hits in the first 3 games, especially with the extra base hits, is a threat to tie it. That's in for a strike. Looked like it had some cutting action on it, Ash.
That's his primary pitcher. Has been in the past anyway. For me, a bit surprising to see the straight 4-seamer to strike out Presley.
Toward the mound. Robertson over to first, and the Yankees rescue 1 win in this 3-game series. And the Astros are held hitless for the last 4 innings. They hit into 4 double plays. Derek Jeter and the Yankees take this one 4-2. A win for Ivan Nova and a loss for Brett Oberholzer. But the Astros showed that they can compete in this 3-game series, winning 2 of the 3. Final score tonight: Yankees 4, Astros 2.